You don't need a cape just to help someone win. Do something simple, do something true. Make a sandwich for a friend, hold the door for someone too. Facts still matter, it starts with you. Check on your neighbor, share what you can do. One small action turns into a wave. Do something today, be the change that you crave. Facts still matter, it starts with you. Facts still matter, it starts with you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Happy hump day. Happy April. So glad you're here because we know you have many choices to make every single day, and we're super grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you. Thank you for coming back. Sorry to miss you yesterday. I needed a blow, that's for sure. No sleep Sunday night, and it finally caught up to me yesterday and a bunch of other shit going on in my brain, but we're here. We're happy. We're happy that you joined us. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Please consider contributing to the gifting goal today as we are continuing to try to get out and stay out on the FYP. So we really need your help. I've noticed after taking a day off, it takes us a little while to pick up momentum again. So if you guys could tap and share and like and repost and do all the things, I appreciate that. Please consider joining our team. You should do that every day. That helps you. That helps us. Also, there is we continue to march towards our 25K target for the Do Something Tour. A couple updates on that a little bit later. We stand at $8,688. If you want to help us out, maybe we can start the dollar train. We've been averaging between 12 and 1,500 people in here. If we had a dollar train a day, we could really take a big chunk out of that goal. So thank you all very, very much for that. Please head on over to the link tree that's in my bio. You'll find a link to the Discord. That's probably the most important. If you head there, you can join our Discord. We ask that you just go through the verification steps. It's free to join, give you access to our amazing community. Also, check out the link to the Facts merch store. It's Facts HQ, or go there directly at factsstillmatter.site. All kinds of other information, too, about Indivisibles over there. We've got resources. We've got our friend Eve's shopping store. We have my son's merch store. And by the way, he's got his first art show tonight. That'll be a cool event for our family. His brother, his sister, myself, we'll all be there. It's going to be a great time. That'll be tonight. I missed you yesterday as well. Thanks for saying that. So yeah, so do all the things, as they say, and welcome. And we appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much. So a lot to kind of get into today. It's funny, you can't take, the news never stops. So you take a day off from the news and you're like, what the hell is going on? And of course, everything is going on. And I guess I'll start with gas is now at, let me just check the national average. So congratulations, everybody. Gas is now at $4.06 a gallon. Yeah, sweet. $4.06 a gallon, up 5 cents since yesterday. It was $3.98 a week ago, $2.98 a month ago, and $3.20 a year ago. But diesel prices, friends, goodness gracious, diesel is $5.50 a gallon. A year ago, it was $3.61 a gallon, so it's up almost $2. I know, right, Jess? So much winning. I can't stand it. So much winning. And while we're in the midst of an economic meltdown, while we're in the midst of a war that we started that's causing this demise, we're going to talk about the ultimate taco moment. I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. The ultimate taco. The House and the Senate are on recess. Yeah. That's what happens. They're both back home in their districts, district work period, they call it. So they're out there and, just doing what for the American people. Meanwhile, we have the president making plans for the presidential library. We'll talk about that. I can tell you, for What the Fuck Wednesday, I did not have Kristi Noem's husband as the appropriate term that I researched this. I did not have Kristi Noem's husband as a cross-dresser on my bingo card. Yeah. We'll get into that. So let's kind of update it on a few things. I read that story and I was just kind of blown away a little bit. All right. So first things first, there is a presidential address tonight, 9:00 from the Oval Office. Who knows what to expect? Who knows? Could it be an update on the war? Sure. The war that's not a war that is a war? Sure. Could it be an update on the birthright citizenship case, which is the president has apparently said he's going to sit in today at the Supreme Court? Who knows? Maybe he'll fall asleep. Don't know about that. He'll have to sit and be quiet, which is not something he normally does. Also, is it going to be an update on the bullshit executive order he signed yesterday to try to change our entire system of elections, which he can't do? Or is it going to be something different? I don't know, but we'll find out. So let's get into a few stories I wanted to cover today. As I just mentioned, the House is on recess, and this whole thing regarding the executive order. First of all, it is entirely unconstitutional. You all know that. It's intended to invoke fear. He wants to saber rattle his way through this bullshit. It's ridiculous. Also, we have to talk about the judge's ruling on the ballroom. Wasn't a good day for him. But let's stick on topic here. So the situation specifically with this EO, in case you don't know, I've got a summary for you here. Hold on a second. So this is what he's attempting to try to do. As you know, we've discussed this before. The SAVE Act is not going anywhere. Everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. Let's see if we can get up to 20,000 likes. And please, everybody, if you've not yet joined our team, please do so today. And if you do want to support the Do Something Tour, we appreciate that. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo are all at Factsstillmatter. So he wants to call it the National Voter Eligibility List. The intent behind it is to get the DHS and Social Security agencies and other agencies to create a nationwide database of eligible voters who are U.S. citizens. This list would be shared with states before elections. The mail ballots would only be sent to people on that federal list. It will add stricter rules like secure barcoded envelopes, tighter tracking requirements. Federal agencies are instructed to help states verify citizenship and eligibility. Pressure on states includes suggesting that cutting federal funding or taking action against states that don't comply, and then calls for investigators or investigations into officials who send ballots to allegedly ineligible voters. It's critical because the legal issue is the president does not control, the federal government does not control how federal elections are run. That's a state's issue. Congress does have the power to set national election rules, but only through legislation, not the president. Because of that, the order is widely described as likely unconstitutional, and similar past efforts have already been blocked in court. The supporters say it improves election security and integrity. We already know that the percentages of undocumented citizens, because this is what they're saying. What's the number? I think we talked about this, like 10 instances over 25 years out of 2 billion votes cast. It also says that it prevents, supporters say it prevents non-citizens from voting. Well, that already is a law. Can't do that. So yeah, critics say it's voter suppression, which it is. Could block eligible voters, especially male voters, and then uses federal power in a way that may be illegal. So good morning, Switchy Raiders. Thank you guys. How do I say this? The easiest way to look at this is when you start to look at polling numbers. So let's get into that. So Harry Enton, who does polling for CNN, he's basically CNN's version of Steve Kornacki. I like the guy. He's got a lot of high energy. But I think there's some telling statistics here that point exactly to why all this kerfuffle. And then I have some amazing sound I'm going to play for you guys from Todd Blanche, because that tells you everything. So first, let's start with Harry Enton. He did a review on some of the most stark examples of the president's polling. Here you go.
Take a look at Donald Trump's overall net approval rating. This is the lowest of his term, the lowest of his second term. We're talking about minus 17 points, 17 points underwater. And unlike in Donald Trump's first term, in which he was negative basically throughout his entire term, Trump actually started off in positive territory here in his second term. But now he's at the lowest point of his second term. But there's an even bigger comparison to be made, okay? So obviously Trump was elected once back in 2016. Then he took a 4-year break. And then, of course, he's serving his second term, and it's his second presidency. Mm-hmm. So I went back and I looked at all of the presidents at this point in a presidency, all of them at this point in a presidency. And guess what? Donald Trump is the lowest ever at this point in a presidency, lower than Joe Biden, lower than Jimmy Carter, lower than Ronald Reagan. He's lower than all of them. all of them at this point in a presidency, you know, you can make any sort of swimming comparison you want. Maybe you want to make a comparison with a diver like Greg Louganis. Maybe you want to make a swimming comparison, Michael Phelps. Maybe if you're me, like an old Jewish soul, you want to make a comparison with Mark Spitz. Either way, he is very much.
So there's that. And then he gets into it a little bit more, and I think this is the part that's really interesting, because then it goes through every single top line, important issue to voters: immigration, the economy, the war, all these kinds of things. This is where it gets really bad.
No, I would say that this is the most troublesome sign that I have seen for the President of the United States and the Republican Party so far. What are we talking about? Well, let's take a look here. Voters on Trump and the cost of living. You go back when he was reelected back in October of 2024, he was beating Kamala Harris by 3 points on the cost of living, right? Look at his net approval rating now. Woo! Down underwater we go. His net approval at a record low 41 points.
So keep that in mind. In October of 2024, when head-to-head against Kamala Harris, voters on Trump and the cost of living on a positive +3 in that category, as in voters felt that Donald Trump was going to do a better job on cost of living. That number is now -41. So you look at that, you look at all these special elections, you look at the Mar-a-Lago district that just flipped, even though it was a Trump-backed candidate. You look at Supreme Court seats, you look at just about every special election. What's the count? 29-0? And even in districts that Republicans have held on to, you see that massive swing. So 28 or 29 seats that have gone from blue to red, and 0 have gone from red to blue. And then you get all these numbers. But I'll continue this, and I've got some more for you on that.
Below water, you can't win when you're at 41 points below water on the cost of living. Kamala Harris couldn't win. The Democratic Party couldn't win. And I'm here to tell you that there's a better chance that I root for the New York Yankees than Donald Trump and the Republican Party winning when he's 41 points below water.
This is March 12th to March 16th. We could see even more, gas prices rise and prices go up in the coming days and weeks with the Iran war. So this number could get even worse. What about independence?
Yeah, what about independence? You think this 41 points below water is bad? Take a look at independence. It's even worse. I mean, 60 points underwater when it comes to Trump and the cost of living among independents. Again, a record low. You go back to October of 2024. He was winning on this issue over Kamala Harris by 11 points. Look at that switcheroo. That is a 71-point switcheroo in the wrong direction for Donald Trump when we're coming to the cost of living and independence. And this, my dear friends, is just a political nightmare waiting to happen for the Republican Party come the midterm election.
I mean, why? Do people really care about the cost of living?
You know, yes, they do, Mr. Berman. They do care about the cost of living. Why was Donald Trump reelected back in 2024? It was the cost of living. It was the number one issue, okay? Number one issue, top election issue, cost of living. 38% of Americans said it was so back in October of 2024. Look now, it's the same percentage. If anything, it's a point higher, though it's within the margin of error. 39%. Simply put, I am saying this loud and proud. You cannot win an election when you are the incumbent party and the top issue is the cost of living and you're the president of the United States and your net approval rating on it is 41 points underwater. I mean, you're with Greg Louganis at this point, and with independents, 60 points underwater. What, are you kidding me? You cannot win. If you're the president and you're the Republican Party and you're not addressing this issue, wave adios amigos, goodbye, see you later, your House majority, and may very well be your Senate majority as well.
You're saying it loud, which is very unusual for you.
I know, It's extremely unusual. A lot of coffee this morning.
Let's talk about inflation and what the prediction markets are saying, what direction they see it going forward.
Yeah, okay, you talk about 60 points underwater, you talk about 41 points underwater overall. You know, when we're talking about what the prediction markets, Calci prediction markets have, Chance March's CPI year over year is above February's 2.4%. It's going in the wrong.
So with all that being said, right, part of the strategy, because they're reading the tea leaves, right? So don't forget, you get internal polling too when you're part of campaigns, as I've been a part of few, you get internal polling. When I talk about internal polling, it's not always the top line stuff that gets reported out to the press. They have, independent operatives. They're getting more ground level reporting and ground level news and ground level polling information. So they know how bad it is. They know how bad it is. We'll get back to that in just a moment. I do want to remind folks that it is April, and it's the case every single month we will pick a month of an awareness month. This particular month, it's Child Abuse Awareness Month for the month of April. It's often indicated either by a blue pinwheel or by a blue ribbon. So you'll see that in our backgrounds every single month. So I want to make sure I'm going to give you some statistics as we discuss this over the course of the month. I actually have a couple of events that I want to do later in the month that I'll be filling you in on over the course of this month. Child Abuse Awareness Month is observed every April to raise awareness about child abuse and neglect, promote prevention, and support families, often symbolized by a blue pinwheel or by a blue ribbon. Many communities participate and wear Blue Day, which is why I'm wearing blue today, to show support. Campaigns like Pinwheels for Prevention emphasize positive childhood experiences. Overall scope, between 600 and 650,000 children are confirmed victims of abuse or neglect each year. That's roughly 1 in 7 children experiencing abuse or neglect annually, including unreported cases. About 4 to 7 children die each day from abuse or from neglect. 75% of cases of neglect, around 18% report incidences of physical abuse. 9% experience sexual abuse, and then emotional or psychological abuse is often underreported. Who is most at risk? Children under the age of 3 are the most vulnerable. Higher risk in families facing poverty or financial stress. Think about what we're going through now. Think about the silent victims, the voices of the voiceless. Substance abuse, mental health challenges, lack of social support. In most cases, abuse is committed by a parent or by a caregiver. About 75 to 80% involve at least one parent. Child abuse isn't just a short-term issue. It has lifelong effects, increased risks of depression, anxiety, PTSD, higher likelihood of substance use disorders, greater risk of chronic health conditions, heart disease, diabetes, etc., links to lower educational and economic outcomes. The CDC connects these outcomes to adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, which can shape long-term health behaviors. Prevention focuses on strengthening families and communities, parent education and support programs, access to mental health and substance use treatment centers and facilities, strong social safety networks like families, schools, and communities, and then early childhood programs, home visits, child care support. You think about that section right there about what they're doing for prevention. These are programs that are cut in Republican budgets. Mental health and substance use programs, strong social nets like families, schools, communities, early childhood programs, right? Head Start, home visits, child care support, cutting off funding for school lunch programs, closing rural hospitals, closing access to mental health facilities, closing access to substance abuse treatment centers. But the party of family values, right? So if you're talking about the rhetoric that the conservative right likes to use, they truly care about kids, here's an impact. So I don't intend to make everything political, because child abuse, as far as I'm concerned, there is no greater crime than that. And I include all of it. I include SA, I include the emotional abuse, I include the neglect, I include all of it. We have a political movement in our country that hides behind their faith, claiming that they care about kids, men and women's sports, bathroom issues, whatever it might be. And yet here they sit, cutting programs that are directly linked to increases in child abuse, maternal health, poverty lines. Look at the states that are led and run by conservative legislatures and Republicans. They have the highest rates of maternal mortality. They have some of the highest rates of infant mortality. They have some of the highest rates of substance use disorder. They have some of the highest rates of violent crime, poverty, education outcomes, social programs, use of social programs. All these kinds of things have a direct impact on child abuse. And if we truly care about these issues, then why are the conservative rights not funding it? Why are they not funding it? If you are concerned about a child, there's a couple of numbers I want to give to you. There's the Child Help there's the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline in the U.S. It is 1-800-4-A-CHILD, or 1-800-422-4453. It's available 24/7 via call, chat, or text. And you can also report concerns anonymously. Again, that number is 1-800-4-A-CHILD, or 1-800-422-4453. So again, I go through these exercises. Like I said, it's impossible to not connect the dots politically. I mean, you guys know that's what we do around here. Like, what are we looking at? We're looking at a horrible problem. 600 to 650,000 kids every year. 600 to 650,000 kids are abused every year. And they categorize those as neglect, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and then emotional and psychological abuse. And yet programs designed to help treat those, because 75% of the abusers in this case are a parent or a caregiver. When you don't have a structure, when you don't have a social safety net, when you don't have welfare programs or a strong social safety net or funding through public education or in communities, these are the things that happen. And who are the ones that are the most vulnerable? It's always kids. Which again goes back to our whole model about flipping this up and making this a trickle up economic society where we focus on patriarchal tendencies, where you prioritize children and women. Because I can tell you, if that was the priority in our country, as opposed to spending, $1 billion a day on a war, if the Pentagon can ask for $200 billion more to unalive people in a foreign land, why is it so difficult to ask for half that, or a third of that, or a quarter of that to fund programs that would genuinely help people? But no. So again, that telephone number is 1-800-4A-CHILD, 1-800-422-4453. Speaking of that, it is the 103rd day of the federal government breaking the law by not releasing all unredacted materials connected to the Trump files. I mean the e-files. Where the fuck are our priorities? Yeah. Okay. Let me, everybody keep tapping. Tapping is clapping, friends. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, and sharing is caring. Now, we know, yeah, exactly, $1 billion a year for food assistance we can't afford, but $1 billion a day for a pointless war, no problem. Remember I was mentioning to you about how they're running scared. Well, the reason that they want to attempt to impose these voter restriction laws, these voter suppression laws, because it's got nothing to do with election integrity. It's got nothing to do with it. We know it. Even members of the Republican Party now are saying, listen, the instances of fraud are so low, really, really low, but the president wants us to do this, so we have no choice. So Todd Blanche. Now, here's the funny thing about these, when they make these statements. You've heard something similar in the past. Todd Blanche, who's the deputy AG, Todd Blanche was also Trump's personal attorney. He defended him in numerous court cases, including in New York. His track record of getting the president off, I'll leave that right there. Getting the president off is not very good. But he spoke at CPAC. Okay, so CPAC was last week, and this is what he had to say.
Everybody's afraid that the next administration, if we don't win, we're going to all be investigated and indicted. Think about that. This is not a third world country. This is America. And the existing administration is afraid that they're going to get indicted. And why are they afraid? Because that's exactly what happened during the last administration. All of President Trump's cabinet, everybody that worked in the White House, his Secret Service detail had to go to the grand jury.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Now he's saying that like, oh, they're just going to come after us for no reason. Well, if you weren't committing crimes like on the fucking daily, and you, Todd Blanche, were not lying to the American public about documents connected to the Jeffrey files, I should say the Trump files, you, Todd Blanche, gaslighted the American people saying that there was no more investigations. You, Todd Blanche, saying that we're not investigating anybody, case closed. You, Todd Blanche. That would be you, sir. Here's your statement again, and we can all put this on our bingo card. It's the week of Easter, and talk about a gift. Talk about something in your fake green grass Easter basket.
Everybody's afraid that the next administration, if we don't win, we're going to all be investigated and indicted. Think about that. This is not a third world country. This is America. And the existing administration is afraid that they're going to get indicted. And why are they afraid? Because that's exactly what happened during the last administration. All of President Trump's cabinet, everybody that worked in the White House, his Secret Service detail had to go to the grand jury. Everybody's afraid.
So that tells you a lot, right? They're afraid. They know what's coming. They know what's coming, and they should be afraid. So again, folks, as a reminder, right? The data tells you the independents are swinging. Independent support for the president is around 20%. He's upside down in every single category. You know, and under normal conditions, what you would expect a 25 to 30 seat win for Democrats. Now I've seen some outlier pollings where they could pick up as many as 40 seats. I'm not going there. That's a massive number. The Senate's in play. Again, I've talked to you guys about Maine. I've talked about North Carolina. I've talked to you about Ohio, and I think Alaska's on the radar. And there's a situation happening in Oklahoma where they're trying to run a Democrat, claim that he's a Democrat, but apparently he's not a Democrat. He's campaigned for Trump in the past. He's raised money for Trump, but they're trying to peel votes away from the independent, who could kick out the incumbent Republican. So who the fuck knows? So friends, I am asking you. Now I know there's a lot of people that are turned off, and I mentioned to you from the No Kings protest that I went to over the weekend in New York. And again, thank you to everybody for turning out. 9 million strong nationwide estimates. Where there was a group of self-identified, I don't know if they were affiliated directly with the Communist Party of America, but they were there calling out the two-party system. And I don't want folks to forget what's at stake here. If we abandon now, if we say, I'm not going to participate, what's not Oklahoma? Nebraska. Thank you for that. Nebraska, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you guys. I fully support their message, right? The two-party system is fucked up. Capitalism is fucked up. We all agree on that. But if there's no strategy, like if you want to say we want to move forward, right? We want to move forward. There's got to be a strategy. So when I ask those questions about what's your ultimate goal here, no one could answer. They weren't talking about voter registration push. They weren't talking about getting down ballot progressives elected, because a lot of them sort of believe what we believe, to not that extreme. And quite frankly, many of them don't even know what they stand for. So the cautionary tale is we have an opportunity here to really change some things, right? So I'm hoping that you can take that message. You primarily leftists, right? I know you're angry. We're angry too. But we have an opportunity to really move the needle here. And I am asking you to participate, like we've been talking about all spring, all summer long. All spring and all summer, support 10 toes down your candidates. And if they don't win their primary, then you need to vote for the Democrat. That's just how it works. Nebraska is an interesting case. We'll talk more about that as we learn more. But I feel again, I'm conservative when it comes to political predictions. I don't like them. I don't like polling when it comes to politics. But public opinion, when you look at data that independents are just checking out, this is a mass, or I should say, just failing to support the president by like 25 to 30 points, that swing. There's a real opportunity here to change things. So I guess I'm asking for you all to participate. So thank you. Good morning, Jeremy. How are you? Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, sorry. How you doing this morning? Thanks for having me up.
Sure thing. What's on your mind?
I just, you're hitting it right on the head. I mean, we've got primaries. I'm running in a primary here in Alabama. Alabama's in play, y'all. I'm running for the House of Representatives. And what you said, you hit it right on the head. We've got to support our candidates. And I've been telling people, vote your values. Vote your values in the primary, right? Like, get involved in the primary. Traditionally, people don't get involved in their voting primaries. They just kind of wait until the general. This is the time.
And your electric bills in Alabama too, right?
Yes, of course. Yep. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and we've got an opportunity. Well, I like what you said, Steve. We've got an opportunity here to do some real good. I know there's a lot of bad in the world right now, but if we swing that pendulum the other way, we have a chance to do some real good.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to require people to just, I'll be frank, people feel entitled, and it's a cautionary tale for people on the left. You know, we like the big tent. We like lots of voices. We like lots of opinions, but you're not going to find perfection in your candidate. And, you know, as a progressive, left-leaning libertarian and someone who is there's a nihilistic tendency to me, but I'm also pragmatic. I want to win elections. I want to win. I want to change the court. I want to change our education system. I want to change our healthcare system. And we can't get there if people check out. So.
Right. You know, something I learned this weekend, and then I'll drop, but I call myself a progressive. The people who support my campaign understand what that is. It's a very young campaign, but there were some folks in my most recent town hall who were, I guess they would call themselves boomers, and they didn't understand what a progressive is. And Alabama Democratic Party, you know, being a progressive is a scary thing for them, and I didn't realize that. So we talked what that meant, you know, and then we told them, you know, think about what the 50s and the 60s where you guys got the best of this country. And we just want to go back to some of that, right? We want to bring some of that stuff back. We want to strengthen those social programs and reminding them about, you know, those programs that we had in the FDR era, and trying to strengthen those things instead of undermine them like we constantly do was a good way to bridge that gap for boomers who are just a little afraid of what a progressive might mean or the word socialism and things like that. But we've had to work through that in the primary.
Yeah, it's a great point. You know, it's the word progressive has suddenly become scary. You know, the word, you know, communism, that's going to be a difficult sell for people who want to run with that message. They might want to think about rebranding themselves as workers' rights or workers' freedoms or supporting labor unions or whatever that might be. Messaging matters. It really, really does. And you know, I know we spoke to you before. I know you got an uphill fight in your state, but we're glad that you're running. It's always good to talk to you. Thanks for jumping in today, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You got it. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Somebody just asked the question. Yeah. So, I mean, libertarian, it's the idea behind libertarians is that you don't believe in massive government overreach. And that's what I believe. I believe that government serves a purpose. I don't support big government. And that's the ironic part about the conservative right is they say we're all about small government, but yet there's no more bigger examples of large government than what we're seeing currently. So yeah, you can be a libertarian on the right or on the left. I'm a progressive, right? So I want to move society forward. And I don't believe the government should be involved in everything. The government should not be involved in healthcare decisions. They just should not be involved in any healthcare decisions from my perspective. Now, if you want to legislate, you know, for example, bringing back Roe, I think that's different because ultimately the decision falls to a woman and her physician. So it's things like that, right? So that's what that means. So mods, we should consider posting the political compass test if we haven't done that yet in the chat. Maybe we'll do that. There's a political compass test that you can take and you can see where you fall. And you might be surprised. I mean, I pretty much knew exactly where I was going to end up and it was pretty close. And for the most part, the majority of our mods fall into that same bucket. Shocker. But you should take the test. I think you might be surprised. Okay, so again, this whole thing is about voter suppression because they know this entire thing regarding the executive order that the president signed, right? And then back to Todd Blanche saying we'll all be investigated. Trump officials say that they are confident their behavior and deeds will bring down a firestorm of indictments and investigations after Democrats take the House and possibly the Senate in November and later the White House. Quote, everybody's afraid that the next administration, if we don't win, we're all going to be investigated and indicted. Think about that. Now, Todd Blanche in front of CPAC is trying to get sympathy or claiming it's a witch hunt. You're going to hear that argument again. Maybe stop criming. Maybe do that. Maybe just stop breaking the fucking law. Maybe stop lying to the American public. Did I say breaking the law? Yeah, stop breaking the fucking law. So we'll be watching that because there's a lot to unpack with that whole thing. I haven't seen you in a while. Well, good morning.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm going to make this short today. Everybody make sure you check to see that you are still registered to vote. They are taking people off the rousters. People are finding out that they are not registered to vote who are registered. I live in a state where you register at the DMV. I think most people do. Facebook will ask you, and other social media platforms will ask you, are you registered? Make sure you registered, especially in people of color communities. Make sure you're on, because they're going to say, many people have gone to early elections and found out that they were not in the system. Make sure you are in the system before you go and vote. Also, if you live in a state that is using intimidation tactics, go as a group. Take elderly people with you to vote, because now he's attacking mail-in votes. My dad is a shut-in. So make sure you get the elderly out to vote. Those, you know who you are and you know who they're going to go after. So make sure that that is in place all the way up to the polls. Make sure you do that, because this is not the first time that people have found that they were not in the system.
That is true. You should do that more than once. You should do that regularly, just to be sure, because you never know what's going to happen. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Especially now.
Yeah. About every 2 weeks up until the elections, up until the midterms, keep checking. Pardon me. Keep checking and make sure you check at least 2 or 3 days before you go vote.
Exactly. And if you, like you said, if you make sure you have a plan, be prepared for the worst. I don't have concerns about this executive order because it's unconstitutional. I think it is saber rattling. I really don't have concerns about it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be paying attention. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a plan. If your plan has been to mail in your ballot, make sure you do it well in advance of Election Day and then track it to make sure that you know that it's been received by Election Day, because one of the tenets within the SAVE Act that is not going to pass is basically stating that if your mail-in ballot is postmarked before Election Day but yet received after, what they want to say is that vote doesn't count. So we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. That's a good message.
I'm a former military wife, and when Al Gore was running, I'm telling you, make sure you check. They threw out our votes because we were overseas. They didn't even count our votes. So make sure. Also, one more thing, check your ballot before you turn it in. Make sure, in my state, we run it through a machine. Make sure it comes up for the candidate you want, because several of us found out in certain states that you ran it through the machine and it was not who you wanted to vote for. So they're still tampering with those machines, and people had to go back in and say, that's not the vote I casted. I need you to change that. Okay, so be very intentional, be aware, and make sure that you double check that the candidate that you voted for is the candidate that you wanted to vote for. Lastly, people are asking how to check. There is a website. I can't remember what it is. I think it's vote.gov or vote.org. I can't remember.
Vote.org.
Yes, vote.org. Yep. Yeah. You can check to see in your state if you are registered to vote. Now, for those of you who need passports, they're slowing that process down. Go take care of it now. If you have to scrimp and save, I don't have a passport, but I live in the DC metro area. I don't even have to show ID most of the time if I go to the same polling station. But having said that, who knows if they're going to change the rules? I'm going to make sure I have my passport next month. The problem is I've had a diplomatic passport in the past, so it takes a while for me to get one. But if you need a passport, do it now. Borrow the money, do whatever you need to. Normally, I don't say rob Peter to pay Paul, but if you have to, put it on a credit card, do whatever it is that you have to make sure you have that ID. They're going to make sure they make it as hard as possible for brown and black people to vote. Make sure you have all your fail safes in place. And with that, I'm going to land my plane.
That is great. That is great advice, my friend. Thank you. It's always good to talk to you. Thank you for dropping
good to talk to you too. Bye, guys.
I appreciate you. See you later. It's again, I think you guys know me. I'm always going to try to find a silver lining in all this shit. I think we take so many things for granted in our system. including just the ability to go vote for your candidate. Not enough people do. That is a big push as part of the Do Something Tour. Don't forget, as I travel the country and encouraging people who have either not participated or are apathetic about their vote or think that their vote doesn't matter, or even people who don't vote consistently. You know, initially the goal was to talk to non-voters. Of course, that's impossible just to talk to non-voters. So maybe conversations will happen, and then organic or through osmosis, people will overhear the conversation and say, yeah, you know what? I think healthcare is important. I think, you know, voting rights are important, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We take our vote for granted. We have to stop doing that. So if there is silver lining in all of this, I think my hope is that people will see that this is a voter suppression tactic, full stop. Now, if somebody came to us and said, you know, for the past 10 elections, we've had 25 or 30% incidences of fraud, then sure, we can address it. But we don't have that. We just don't. This is a problem. This is a non-existent problem that the voter suppression party is attempting to solve. Keep in mind, there was legislation in the Senate, bipartisan agreement, to get this across the finish line. This is from like a week or so ago. This is John Kennedy on Fox talking about just that. I'm going to kind of build up to what happened yesterday. So let's start here.
Senator Cruz and I came up with a plan. We said, look, it's a two-step process. The Democrats have offered to open up everything but ICE. Ted and I said, okay, let's accept their offer. And then at the same time, we would offer a bill for reconciliation where we don't need any Democratic votes to do whatever we wanted to do with ICE. And that way we're out of the shutdown and DHS is back open. We submitted that, Senator Cthulhu submitted that to President Trump, as is his right. He said no deals with the Democrats. It would have worked. We could have had TSA paid by the end of the week, but the president said no deal.
So again, there was bipartisan legislation. I think the Democrats have introduced 6 or 7 standalone bills to fund TSA, and the Republicans have said no. So this burden falls squarely on the backs of Republicans. They are uninterested. They want to use this as a political talking point. They don't have the momentum. They don't have the leverage on their side. They just don't. Mike Johnson's been all up in his fifis about this whole thing. Let me find some. This is one example of Mike Johnson getting a little upset. I'm sorry, bitch boy, getting a little angry. This was just a few days ago. Don't forget, the House and the Senate are on recess currently for 2 weeks. Okay, they won't be back until mid-April. Sure, they can call people back if there's an emergency vote, but 2 weeks. So TSA agents are getting paid piecemeal because of an executive order the president signed. By the way, so TSA agents, if you're listening this morning, okay, I want you to know something. If you are a Trump supporter, the president has always had that power. He could have always paid you. The president of the United States has used you as a political pawn. I want you to know that, because if he could sign an executive order to pay you last week, he could have signed one to pay you last month. Full stop. This is Bitch Boy.
Soon are not on the same page. You came out and criticized Democrats. He was the engineer behind this. Why are you guys not on the same page? And are you not extending the shutdown? If you were to accept what the Senate had passed, this could end tonight and the TSA lines would shrink. I wouldn't call John Thune the engineer of this. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats.
So that report is great. So he's pressing him. You just heard John Kennedy and Ted Cruz. Listen, we had a bill. We got bipartisan support. We would have been able to fund DHS with the exception of ICE. We could have passed funding for ICE through reconciliation. We talked about that. I can bring it up again. He went to John Thune, took that information. But Mr. President, we have a deal. We can get TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, and CISA funded. We have a deal. We have an agreement. Will you sign it? The president said no. So Mike Johnson's pissed that the Senate did that, because he knows if he brings that vote to the floor in the House, then it's gonna fucking pass. And he doesn't want to do that because he still wants to cuck for the president.
Democrats in the Senate have forced this upon the Senate. I have to protect the House. Let me answer the question, Chad. I have to protect the House.
and I have to protect the American people. That's our responsibility. Our colleagues on this side understand this is not a game. We are not playing their games.
Give me a break.
These people want open borders, and they want criminal, illegal aliens in the country. They do not want to enforce the law. They want...
So talk about a pivot. Talk about a pivot. Let's go to the same old racist bullshit. Let's use the fear-mongering tactic to say, Democrats want, they want a convoy of illegals. Nope. Nothing further from the fucking truth.
Want to literally defund, you just read it in the bill here, they want to give $0 to enforcing federal immigration laws and keeping the border secure.
That is absolutely not fucking true. The Democrats' bill would have funded DHS with the exception of ICE to be negotiated. Republicans and Democrats agreed to it, Mike. Stop gaslighting. So, Mike, when you and I meet face to face, Mike, Booby, when we have this conversation, I'll be gentle to start, but I am going to dog walk your fucking ass. And I'm going to call out your fucking gaslighting, and then I'm going to get dragged out of the halls of Congress with a gigantic hook. But it's going to be so great. Oh, believe me, I've written them. Believe me. Actually, that's a really good idea. I'm going to bring, I'll go find some of the emails that I've sent to Mike Johnson's office, and I'll read them to you guys. Because I do that, I've probably done that 10 times or so. He'll probably like it. But the fucking gaslight is bullshit. Remember, friends, remember, this is a really, really important point. There was a Senate agreement, bipartisan. Republicans and Democrats both said, we will do this. We will fund these agencies with the exception of the enforcement side of ICE without changes. And then if you guys want to do that, you can go through reconciliation or you can nuke the filibuster. It's really up to you. The president said no. So Mike is fucking gaslighting you. Here's this. This is the interview from the top again.
On the same page. You came out and criticized Democrats. He was the engineer behind this. Why are you guys not on the same page? And are you not extending the shutdown? If you were to accept what the Senate had passed, this could end tonight and the TSA lines would shrink.
Right. I wouldn't call John Thune the engineer of this. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate have forced this upon the Senate. I have to protect.
That's absolutely not fucking true. It's not even a stretch. It's just not true.
The House, let me answer the question, Chad. I have to protect the House, and I have to protect the American people. That's our responsibility. Our colleagues on this side understand this is not a game. We are not playing their games. These people want open borders, and they want criminal, illegal aliens in the country. They do not want to enforce the law. They want to literally defund. You just read it in the bill here. They want to give $0 to enforcing federal immigration laws and keeping the border secure. That was the biggest issue in the election of 2024, the wide open border that Joe...
No, it wasn't. It was the economy. It was gas prices and no new wars, so shut the fuck up.
Biden and Kamala Harris hoisted upon the country. And 20 million, by some estimates, 20 million dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens included in that number came over the border. We have terrorists in our...
That's not true either. More fucking gaslighting. MAGA, listen, I know you're in here. I know you love me. You come back. I know you missed me yesterday. I appreciate that. There's the DHS estimates that there are a total of between 11 and 14 million undocumented immigrants in the country on the total, going back decades. So no, 20 million people did not enter the country illegally during the Biden administration. It's a fucking lie. It's not even close to the truth. Because you can't have 20 million in 4 years and then only a total of 14 million going back years. So no.
Country. We have obviously murderers. They're putting it on display.
Fear-mongering.
And then these big blue cities that have sanctuary city policies, they're releasing these people onto the streets. They released them over the border when they came over under the Biden years.
Right.
And that is the turmoil that we're facing right now. The very serious threats to the homeland and everybody. It's not just long lines at the airport. It is the danger and safety of everyone. We'll talk more after this is passed. We'll get it done.
Has the president endorsed this plan? Has the president endorsed this plan, Mr. Speaker? Has the president?
I spoke to the president a few moments ago. He understands exactly what we're doing and why, and he supports it.
Man, oh man. So And then that brings us up to, actually, I think I have one more bit of sound that I want to play from
all of the security and safety
from Bitch Boy. Yeah, here's more from Bitch Boy. He's angry. He's really angry.
is willing to fund all of the security and safety of the American people. We cannot believe it's come to that, but it has.
If the Senate gets that through the Senate, will you put it on the floor?
We'll have to see. We have to solve the problem, and it's very...
You see that? We'll have to see. If it gets passed through the Senate, which means it would require 60 votes, unless they do reconciliation or nuclear filibuster, which they're not going to do, that would mean it's bipartisan. Now, Mike, you don't want to bring this to the floor because you know the president doesn't want you to, and you know that it would pass. You know it. And Democrats would vote for it too, to fund TSA. Because Democrats have introduced legislation to do just that. And you don't want to bring it to the floor, Mike. And I have proof. So give me 1 second. I'll play this sound for you. And then I've got some more.
To fund all of the security and safety of the American people. We cannot believe it's come to that, but it has.
If the Senate gets that through the Senate, will you put it on the floor?
We'll have to see. We have to solve the problem, and it's very sad that Democrats are not interested in doing that.
Mr.
Yes.
Speaker, does that mean that you're not in favor of breaking the DHS funding bill apart, just funding TSA, just funding FEMA, having individual votes on each section?
We have never been in favor of breaking the bill up. Why? Because it's one of the 12 separate appropriations bills that is the most basic function of Congress to fund the government. And we did it in a bipartisan, bicameral manner. Remember, the contents of that bill were decided upon earlier by Democrats until they decided to hold the American people hostage in their long lines at the airports and with the safety of everybody on the line to make a political point. It is shameful. There is no way for them to defend this to the American people. And breaking it out I think it puts an exclamation point on what they've tried to do here. It's shameful. So many people have been through so many hardships because of this nonsense. And what we're concerned about is people may actually be hurt. More people harmed by criminal illegal aliens that are being protected by the Democrat Party. And we're sick of it.
Wow. He is angry. He is angry. Oof. Good morning, Amy. How are you today?
Good morning. I was good. Now I'm upset. Possibly slightly on topic, but on your larger topic of he's destroying America, I just read where he's dismantling the U.S. Forest Service, moving the headquarters from Washington to Utah, closing all 10 regional offices, and shutting down all research. And it might not seem like the top of the list, but among the things that are hard to put back once you cut them down, forests.
Agreed.
And it deeply disturbing. So
I agree. Logging in national parks, deforestation in national parks. I completely, as someone who used to work for the
they're taking down the last old growth in Oregon, but just shutting all the regional offices also puts, more professionals out of work, just more people out of work. But it just means that they can do whatever they want because nobody's there to watch, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Or people are there to watch, but people aren't willing to talk about it, and we are. So,
yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because it seemed new to me. Yeah,
I appreciate you. Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you. It's all these little things like that we don't know that's happening. We try to talk about it. We're talking about moving the headquarters of the National Forest Service and opening up leasing for deforestation and for access to resources. I don't know if you've ever been to national parks, but it's one of those things that I think are underappreciated in our country. I happen to live on the edge of the Green Mountain National Forest, right? It's literally goes down the spine of the state of Vermont, from the Canadian border down to Massachusetts, right? And you can't develop on there. There's protected areas. I used to work for the Green Mountain Forest Service as I spent 3 summers living on the side of Mount Mansfield in Taft Lodge, if you know about it. Actually, I helped to rebuild Taft Lodge. I helped build water barge on the trails. I spend some of the happiest places. When I'm at my happiest, when I find solace, when I want to go for those Zen moments, I spend time in the woods. And there are so many people across this country who perhaps have never experienced things like that, like going to Yosemite or going to Yellowstone or going to just small state parks or national parks across the country. They're incredible, absolutely incredible. And there's something that should be protected. Teddy Roosevelt had it absolutely right. They need to be protected. And what do? Who gets the power again? Let's go back to this. Who gets to make these decisions and who gets to enrich themselves on the back of the American taxpayer? These motherfuckers. That's fine. What's a tree? What's a generational old growth forest to anybody else? Who gives a fuck? How can we make some more money? How can we cash in our stocks? How can we pump up our portfolio? Okay. That's fine. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here at all. All right, then back to this, because Jasmine Crockett is about to chime in on Iron Mike, I should say, Bitch Boy. So Bitch Boy was doing the rounds yesterday. Don't forget, as I mentioned to start the show, everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. Let's see if we can get to 150,000 likes. Our target today would be 600,000 likes. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you all. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Don't forget to join our team if you haven't. Don't forget about the gifting goal. And you want to contribute to the Do Something Tour, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all at Factsstillmatter. So Bitch Boy's out doing the rounds yesterday. And as a reminder, they are now officially on recess, the House and the Senate. Oftentimes, they don't, their vacation or their work period time, right? They usually don't overlap. Oftentimes they stagger in case something has to happen. This is a scheduled break and they will be gone for 2 weeks. Okay? So this was Bitch Boy yesterday on Fox.
For a vote as soon as we get something worked out with the Senate. Obviously, we're working on this around the clock. I was up until almost midnight last night having conversations with senators to get this done. But it's a shame. It looks like we will have to do the heavy lift on our own, Republicans, because the Democrats.
Bitch Boy, you have the fucking majority. Shut the fuck up. If you could control your fucking caucus, by the way, 37 or 38 members of the Republican conference are retiring, are not going to be running for re-election. That's the most in history because they're too fucking cowardice to face their voters. They're voters who by and large over-index when it comes to the ACA. 58% of all recipients on the ACA live in districts represented by Republicans, and 70% of all ACA enrollees are in states that Donald Trump won in 2024. Republicans are afraid to face their voters, so they're fucking tucking tail and running. And then Bitch Boy wants to gaslight the American people even more by saying, oh yeah, we're working around the clock. We're working around the clock.
Back for a vote as soon as we get something worked out with the Senate. Obviously, we're working on this around the clock. I was up until almost midnight last night having conversations with senators to get this done. But it's a shame. It looks like we will have to do the heavy lift on our own, Republicans, because the Democrats they're obstructionists at this point, and it's really sad.
Joining us now,
obstructionists. Okay, Jasmine Crockett about to fucking rule the roost.
Congressman Jasmine Crockett of Texas, you're shaking your head. He's calling you an obstructionist.
Listen, he's a joke. Here's the reality. The Republicans.
He's a joke. I agree.
Republicans currently control the House, the Senate, and the White House. And so we know that the Republicans are not good at math, but the reality is that the Senate sent us a bill. They were able to figure it out. And the House decided to obstruct. And when I say the House, I mean the Speaker of the House. He is the one that decides what it is that actually hits the floor. And unfortunately, he decided against our federal workers.
Correct.
Much of what this administration and the Republicans have been doing since they've been in power has been against federal workers in general. All he had to do was put that bill on the floor. Instead, he opted for a 60-day continuing resolution, which meant that there was no agreement. There was nothing to send to the president's desk.
You heard it. Once again, here are the facts. There was an agreement in the Senate to fund TSA, CISA, which is the cybersecurity organization that's governed under the DHS umbrella. There was the Coast Guard and FEMA. Okay? Those agencies were going to be funded through bipartisan support. Republicans and Democrats in the Senate agreed. They went to John Thune. We have a deal. We do this right now. We can get TSA agents, Coast Guard, everybody, we can get them paid right now. John Thune, Senate Majority Leader, took that to the president. The president said no. If that bill was signed, it would go to the House. The way that the House works, the Speaker of the House sets the agenda. If he wanted that bill to come to the floor, it would have gone to the floor. Plain and fucking simple. Republicans, you are being gaslit again. Okay? There is no obstruction on the Democratic side. 7 or 8, I think it's 6 or 7 or 7 or 8 bills with standalone bills to fund these agencies. Bipartisan support. Where is the House? They're on vacation. Okay. Good to know. Just wanted to make sure I checked in. And then yesterday, John Kennedy, okay, again, Foghorn Leghorn on the Sunday shows before he heads out of town. This is what he had to say.
Well, the Senate is notoriously slow. Sometimes it takes us months to get nothing done.
That's actually a great quote. Sometimes it takes us months to get nothing done. Part of me likes this guy, to be honest. Part of me likes him just because of the way he just doesn't really give a fuck. He probably shouldn't be in the Senate anymore, but part of me kind of likes the way in which he brought it up. But sometimes the Senate spends months to get nothing done.
But the SAVE Act is a priority. I'm a co-author. John, I agree with everything the president said in his tweet, though I haven't seen it. John Thune has promised to bring the bill to the floor. I don't know when he's going to do that, but he is going to do that. I anticipate it'll be in the next few weeks. Will it pass? I think so. It just depends. We've got some free range. The Democrats will be against it. But we've got some free-range chickens on the Republican side, and we're going to have to go gather them up.
So to get to 60, though, is the thought that this would be a reconciliation bill, so you don't have to get to the 60? Is there a single Democrat? Are there several Democrats who would vote with you on the SAVE?
I would do it through reconciliation. We could short-circuit all of this, but I'm in a minority. I have chased Senator Thune, my good friend, like he stole Thanksgiving to try to get him to do a reconciliation. This would be perfect for reconciliation.
No, it won't be.
Okay, I also want to touch on the economy.
That's a lie. It's not going to be perfect for reconciliation because reconciliation has to do with budgetary issues. The Senate parliamentarian, the person who basically it's almost like the bookkeeper, accountant, sort of rule writer, rule follower. Okay, that person has been in this position for I think 12 years, so serving numerous administrations. The way that reconciliation works, it has to be referee. That's a good way to look at it, Chris. Yeah, referee, I like that. To use reconciliation, because the Republicans use reconciliation to pass the big, beautiful bill so that they can do it without 60 votes. It has to be budgetary. The SAVE Act is not budgetary. So for him to say, oh, this would be perfect for reconciliation, no. Unless you were going to add funding to it to say, we are going to provide passports for every U.S. citizen, or whatever that would look like. That may be subjected to the reconciliation process. So keep in mind, friends, 60 votes, filibuster. It needs 7 Democrats to sign on to this. It's not going to happen, okay? So the only way to get around that would be to nuke the filibuster, which the president wants to do. Republicans don't want to do it, right? You still need 60 votes to do that. You're not going to get there either way. So then your only option is reconciliation, which then becomes a 51-vote majority. They have the vote. Do they have the votes for that? Maybe. I really don't know, because it is a voter suppression tactic. So people who are already in dogfights. I think about Susan Collins in Maine. I think about the situation with Roy Cooper, the Democrat in North Carolina. I think about Sherrod Brown in Ohio. Do those Republicans in those states want to go back and tell their voters that, by the way, we're about to make this more difficult for you to vote? So, no.
Because you heard Senator Warren.
Here it is again. This is the foghorn again.
Well, the Senate is notoriously slow. Sometimes it takes us months to get nothing done. But the SAVE Act is a priority. I'm a co-author. John, I agree with everything the president said in his tweet, though I haven't seen it.
I agree with everything the president said in his tweet, though I haven't seen it. Okay.
John Thune has promised to bring the bill to the floor. I don't know when he's going to do that.
I know that, let's see, behind the blue line, I know Sherrod Brown isn't in office. I understand that, but he's running again. My point was, do you want to be the Republican having to run against or run in support of a voter suppression bill, which I think would give an opportunity for Sherrod Brown to retake that Senate seat? That was my point. Anyway.
But he is going to do that. I anticipate it'll be in the next few weeks. Will it pass? I think so. It just depends. We've got some free range. The Democrats will be against it, but we've got some free range chickens on the Republican side, and we're going to have to go gather them up.
So to get to 60, though, is the thought that this would be a reconciliation bill, so you don't have to get to the 60? Is there a single Democrat? Are there several Democrats who would vote with you on the save?
I would do it through reconciliation.
So the answer is no.
We can short circuit all of this.
So the
but
answer
I'm
is
in
no.
a minority.
Yeah, exactly.
I have chased Senator Thune, my good friend, like he stole Thanksgiving to try to get him to do a reconciliation. This would be perfect for reconciliation.
So here we sit, right? Here we sit. We have this voter suppression bill. We've got Todd Blanche basically telling you that, listen, we're all going to get fucking indicted if we don't win, which means we know we're not going to win. The independent number alone. Independents are always moderates in the House and the Senate are usually the ones, especially the House, are usually the ones that decide elections. When I say moderates, it's people who you really don't know about. Like they're the ones that are the tiebreakers. They're the ones that oftentimes look at things much more from a bipartisan perspective, right? So those people are the ones that are going to have to go back to their districts and say, did you or did you not vote for a voter suppression bill? So the voices that we hear in Congress are the ones that you see on TV a lot. Now, they could be on the extreme side. They could be people like MTG or Boebert. They could just be moderates. They could be somebody like a Dan Goldman. They could be somebody like a Jared Moskowitz. Those kind of people. We know where they're going to vote, right? So you're talking about these. Our government is set up for compromise. It's not supposed to be as partisan as it is. It's designed from a bicameral perspective to negotiate. They refer to the U.S. Senate as the world's most deliberative body by design, right? Moves too slow. We all despise it, but that is the way the system works. He knows there's not enough votes there. So they're going to have to figure out a way to do this. But again, think about what they're trying to tell you. Mike Johnson's trying to tell you that this is about the Democrats wanting illegals to vote, letting murderers in the country, blah, fucking blah. It's fucking bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. So we got a few guests, and I'll get back to a couple other things that I want to talk about this morning, because there's a lot. There's a lot to cover today. There's a lot. Keep tapping, friends.
Good morning, Steve.
Locomoca, how are you today?
I'm good. So I wanted to go back to the passport thing real quick. Sure. There's another option besides the main passport that's more expensive. When I got my passport, I got the passport card, and it was under $75. You still can get it for 10 years. And it's if you're getting it for ID purposes or voting, it's a cheaper option than getting the book. The only difference between that card and the book is with the card, you can't travel out of the country by plane.
Oh.
So it still works for cruise ships. You can leave the country by boat, but you can't fly like to Europe type thing with the card. But if you're getting it,
that's not really the point. I understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
That's not not really the point.
The point is it's more it's more friendly on the budget if you get the card, if you're getting it just for voting or just for ID, because it's literally, I think mine was $60. And it's still for 10 years, and it still does the purpose that I want it to do.
Yeah, again, that's not the point. It's still a poll tax. It's still forcing somebody
to pay. No, I understand that. I'm just saying, for those people that, so you don't have to reach into a budget you don't have. Like, it's just another option I wanted to share.
Appreciate that. Thank you for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. You too. Take care. Again, the point here is that you can't restrict somebody. You have a right to vote, right? That is part of it. And you can't put a poll tax in front of people. We could spend an entire show talking about this. From my perspective, what I look at is how desperate the Republicans are. Todd Blanche fucking telling you they're going to indict us. They're going to arrest us. They're going to fucking charge us. They're going to drag us in for hearing after hearing. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'll go on the record saying I don't want the president impeached, quite frankly. I don't. I want members of his cabinet impeached. No doubt about that. The reason I say that is because I'd rather handcuff him. I would rather absolutely just stop his entire agenda in its fucking tracks. I want cabinet members impeached. I want people like Stephen Miller impeached. I want Pam Bondi dragged in front of hearings and actually being forced to answer questions. Because again, you get the majority, you get the chairpersonship. Keep that in mind. And I think about some of the people that I would like to see chair various committees, and there's a lot of names in there. And I know it would be, she wouldn't be in office anymore. Missed out opportunity on Jasmine Crockett. She'll be back. But there are many others that I would love to see chairing these committees and to force them to answer questions. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think it's the writing's on the wall, and they know it. They know it. Good morning, Jordan. How are you today?
Good morning. I didn't mean to come up.
Okay. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. You got it. Everybody keep tapping. Let me thank a couple people real quick. Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much. Take your April flowers. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I appreciate you for saying that. That's very sweet. I will. I took my flowers. Thank you very much. Also, Marcy Marcy threw $5 in for the $1 a day train, encouraging everybody to help support, do something. If we don't do something, we will do nothing. I like that perspective. That's a really cool thing. Okay. All right. And then I think I got one more place to look here. Also, thank you to Kelly. Kelly says, here's my $1 a day. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that very, very much. You're very kind. Okay. Everybody keep tapping, please. There's so much to get to today. Did they disappear? They did. One less F. How are you today?
Hey, Steve. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I wanted to point out a couple of demographics that we are missing whenever it comes to the people who will be disenfranchised from the SAVE Act. And those are people who have changed their names for reasons other than marriage. They may not have their marriage certificate readily available, and there are many reasons why people may have changed their names in the past. One large group, and this is not only elite millionaires, but these are people in the entertainment industry who have stage names, who have legally changed their name. And these people travel around. They may not even remember when they changed, where they changed their name 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Right? So those people now have to try to find that paperwork in order to be able to vote. And then there are people who have misplaced, lost, due to catastrophe, their original birth certificate, but their birth certificate may have originated from another country. They're naturalized citizens who came here and may no longer have access to that birth certificate that may have disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's a good point. Whether it be people who've hyphenated their names or changed their names, and we know members of the trans community. I mean, there's so many factors. I mean, we talk about the obviously attack on women in particular, married women who took their spouse's name. There's all kinds of scenarios, and then this new EO is thank you, Paige. Is sort of designed to create confusion, create turmoil, and it's almost like they're looking for self-imposed voter suppression because people would get so frustrated they just wouldn't go through the steps. So it's not good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not good. Thanks for bringing that up one last. I appreciate you very much for being here. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Be
not
safe
a problem.
out there.
Thanks.
You got it. See you later. Yeah. So I mean, it's a situation that it's untenable, and the party knows it. The Republican Party knows it. Trump knows it. We're going to get into a few things. There's a little bit of breaking news here. I don't know if this is relevant, but this is a True Social post. Iran's new regime president, this is from the president himself, this is from True Social, much less radicalized and far more intelligent than his predecessors, has just asked the United States of America for a ceasefire. We will consider when the Hormuz Strait is open, free and clear. Until then, we are blasting Iran into oblivion, or as they say, back to the Stone Age, President DJT. That came out this morning. That, again, Iran's new regime president, much less radicalized and far more intelligent than his predecessors, has just asked the United States for a ceasefire. We will consider when the Hormuz Strait is open, free and clear. Until then, we are blasting Iran into oblivion, as they say, back to the Stone Age, President DJT. Okay. I highly doubt that is true, but, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Hi, Jen.
Good morning. Well, that was fun to come after that, because I really didn't want to come up here because I feel like I come up too much, and I don't like feeling that way, but I'm sorry. Excuse me, did you say that they're going on vacation for 2 weeks now?
They're on
because
vacation
they didn't get their way?
as of this morning, correct.
Really? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, I had to say goodbye to my kid. And you know who doesn't get to take a vacation? My kid and every single service member that just got deployed. You know who else doesn't get to take a vacation? All the mothers and fathers that are waiting for their kids to safely come home. We don't get a fucking vacation. We don't get a vacation from that. I don't get a vacation from being worried about my kid coming home, okay? And until all of those men and women come home, get your fucking ass in there, do your fucking job. I'm not playing games. We're not playing games with people's lives. And like for the president to say he's going to listen to oral arguments today, what, so he can take a nap? Right?
Exactly.
Like, honestly, get your ass in there and make a deal to get our kids home. Stop with this fucking bullshit. It pisses me off. They're playing games with my son's life, with all of those kids' lives, and they think this is a joke. This isn't a joke.
Amen.
Sorry, I'm pissed off.
It's okay. I got you. I saw your text. I'm sorry I didn't write you back.
Oh, no, you're good. Don't worry about it. I'm angry. I'm angry. You know, just fucking pissed. They take a vacation. Oh, yeah. Okay. No. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. And I say that for every military parent, Republican, Democrat, independent, whatever. Bring our kids home, goddammit.
Spouses too. Spouses, children, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, everybody. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. We love you. Hang in there. Keep us posted, will you?
Well,
okay.
We'll do.
I'll talk to you soon. All right. All right. Bye. Great point. You know, and then the president's going to sit at the Supreme Court today to overhear the arguments about violating the Constitution, birthright citizenship. I can't imagine that passes. I can't imagine. I can't imagine they're going to shoot because everybody's impacted. We're all impacted. If you were born here, you're going to have to go through the exercise of verifying your citizenship. It affects everybody. Everybody. Conservatives think it only impacts, as they like to say, anchor babies. I hate that term, but that's what they're referring to. It affects everyone. If you were fucking born here, you're a citizen. All right? And like, what the fuck are we doing? Everybody. You don't get to pick and choose how you want to implement this bullshit. It's fucking ridiculous. Got a couple more things I'm going to talk about the SAVE Act in just a minute. Solutions to a non-problem, exactly. Mother Trucker, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. I have a question, and
sure.
It kind of goes back to the healthcare. How can, because I'm totally for universal healthcare. I'm just, like you said, the government shouldn't make decisions for our healthcare. How do we have universal healthcare without them making the decisions?
They don't make decisions. They're just the payer.
Right, but our government is not going to be like, oh yeah, let's throw all this money and not have power. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it does, but that's not how it works. So the way that the universal healthcare model works, or Medicare for All is the one that I focus on. I want to call it Patriot Healthcare. I don't care. It's just the payer. That's all it is. When you talk about a single payer, it's the government just paying the bill. They're not there to make decisions. The decision sits with your, much like it is now, the decision sits with your doctor and the patient. The problem now is that you have to go through these approvals. You have to go through all these steps. The doctors are still the ones. They're going to be guiding you. So the government's not in the business of making the healthcare decision. They're just the payer.
Okay, so there is hope that we can get them out of it. It's just we have to elect down ballot progressives, and there's people, and the messaging has got to be clear that this is going to save you money, period, full stop. And also, as far as the voter registration, we have to make sure that we know the deadline. I just checked on mine. We have a local election on the 7th of April, and the deadline was March 11th. So we need to look at the deadline. I know me, I have to put it in my calendar in my phone.
Sure.
With alerts. And yeah, so we need to check that before the deadline and throughout.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate that. You got it. Yeah, that's the model. So I was having this conversation over the weekend when I was in New York with people. It ultimately comes down to this basic truth on the healthcare debate. Do you want, because all we're talking about is paying the bill. That's all we're talking about. Do you want the for-profit insurance industry that is 18% of our GDP, an industry on profit that will hit $7 trillion in healthcare expenses by the end of next year, 2027? That's the estimate. Do you want them in charge of paying your bill when they're denying claims to the tune of roughly 30%? Or do you want the non-profit entity, which is the federal government, responsible? Do you want corporations or the government? That's really what it comes down to. That's it. That's what it comes down to. I don't know if maybe people who've been advocating for Medicare for all, that's the model that I want. Maybe we've been advocating for it the wrong way. And I know people distrust the government, and for many reasons, but there's reasons that we can as well. But would you rather trust, let me use this graphic again, because I'm all about imagery. Would you rather trust this? Okay. Would you rather trust, so it's easy to say both are corrupt. See, this is what I'm talking about. People who say things like that, you have to stand for something. You can't just say both sides lie, all politicians do this, both sides are corrupt. You got to figure out a way to stand for something. You got to stop being this fence sitter bullshit. Okay? Would you rather have the corporations, right? The corporations who are already putting people out of their homes because of medical debt, corporations that are already receiving these massive fucking subsidies, corporations who are building in claim denials into their profit and loss statements as they share their fiduciary responsibility to show profit to their shareholders. So to do so, what do? They deny claims. That is fucking diabolical. Would you rather have that group of people, or would you rather have the government, who's a non-profit entity? It's really up to you. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no debate. So when I talk about small government, this would be an example of the government just fucking pays the bill. Ask anybody in any country around the world, because conservatives want to say it won't work. Well, let me ask you a question, conservatives. Is there a country on the planet that has modeled their healthcare system after ours? I'll wait. The answer is no. There is not. There is not. Or would you rather have the government, the VA, Medicare, Medicaid? Those programs work. And when you look at countries who've implemented a universal healthcare model, they tend to have similarities. So we have to stop with this fucking nonsense about, oh, they're both corrupt. Conservatives, can you please pick a side? Because it is so fucking easy just to say, everybody lies. They all lie. Can you please just pick a side? Maybe stand for something as opposed to against everything. We're up here fighting every day for the rights of women, for the rights of marginalized communities, for education, for healthcare, for children, for the poor, for the disabled, for marginalized communities across the board. We're up here fighting for them. What are you fighting for? The answer is, I mean, I've had enough conversations with people, I think I can honestly say this, you're not fighting for anything. Do you guys care about anything? Nuh-uh. Do you think universal health care would help? Nuh-uh. Do you enjoy getting ripped off by corporations? Yes. Do you think there's a better way to do things? Nuh-uh. Do you trust corporations? Yes. The corporations that have been ripping you off? Yes. Do you think that universal health care would be a better solution for all Americans? Nuh-uh. You know you could save money. Nuh-uh. Do you know that everybody could be insured? Nuh-uh. So you enjoy getting ripped off by corporations? Yes. Cool, good to know. I thought so. I just wanted to make sure. I just had to double check. Whew, God damn. Good morning, Nick. How are you today?
Good morning, Steve. I'm well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind today?
Oh, it is definitely What the Fuck Wednesday. I just want to, and I don't mean to bounce back, but to what Jen said. I've been up here before and mentioned that I'm a Gold Star sister. We lost my brother in Afghanistan. So this is, I just have to respond to the handful of people who had comments after what Jen said about, well, these kids belong to the military now, Mom. And things like he didn't go to the military. He wasn't forced to go. It was voluntary. Here's the thing is when we send in the past, when we have sent our family members into the military, into war, we had the belief that they would fight our wars. They would not Israel's war, not someone else's war. Even the wars that I lost my brother to, I don't agree with. And I think they were bullshit from the beginning. But you know what? At least they were on terms that were ours. These are not ours. And just a handful of the people that came back from my brother's unit. So we lost my brother. 3 in his unit came back and unalived themselves. 1 went to prison for unaliving his wife, and the other has just barely hung on. So when you say they belong to the military now, they don't forever. When they come back, they are not the same under any circumstance. And at the very best, they're going to struggle. That's best case scenario. So for people to say, hey, it is what it is, you know what? That's because you're not going to look at them when they come back. You're not going to deal with them when they come back, if they come back. So that just hit me. Jen, I don't know you, but I love you, and I send you all the love.
And we send the love right back to you, Nick. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And sorry for your loss. And we really appreciate you. And thank you for being a voice like Jen's for those who perhaps are voiceless many times.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Scooby, bro, sometimes, Scooby, here's a little advice. Sometimes it's better to just shut your fucking mouth. Okay? Sometimes your takes are so fucking shitty and you're stuck in your own little bubble not realizing it. So if you're faced with a choice, should I say something here that's going to be controversial and maybe get some attention, or should I just shut my fucking mouth? My advice to you is shut your fucking mouth. Okay? I don't see you at a MEP's office. Shut your fucking mouth. Thanks. Appreciate you. Laura, how are you today?
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
I can. If you could get a little closer to your phone or your mic, that would be great.
How's that?
It just sounds really hollow. But yeah, we can hear you. You're fine.
It's because I'm hiding in the bathroom at work.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to say, to go back to healthcare, I'm in a unique position because I work in the financial department in a nonprofit hospital, and there's the amount of charity buckets that we have to try to navigate and dip into, and massaged to try to get people help is so ridiculous. And even people with like marketplace health plans, especially since the big brutal bill came through, like they have no idea how bad their bill is going to end up being. So like they have insurance, they come in here, and I still have to go to these people's rooms that are sometimes dying and try to hustle a way for them to not leave their families with $1 million bills when they get out of here. And it's really hard, and it's heartbreaking sometimes, you know, especially with the cancer patients, trying to find ways to get their bills paid, trying to find ways where they get continued care and stuff. It's hard. But anyway, I didn't want to monologue, and I'm hiding at work, so I'll let you go. But I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on it.
I really appreciate that, Fred. Thank you so very, very much. I appreciate you. Be safe out there. Thanks a lot for being here. Yeah, I mean, again, Scooby, mods, can you please mute Scooby for us, please? I don't care about your gifts, Scooby. I don't want them. I'll give them back. Bro, think about what you said, okay? This is an opportunity here. This is a tough love moment. I'm willing to say this to you, all right? If you're not in a situation where your child or your spouse or your husband or your daughter or whatever it might be, a member of your family, has then been sent to another war of which we know why, or we don't know why we're there. If you're not involved in that, then shut the fuck up, because your opinion is absolutely irrelevant. You can agree or disagree with the reason that we're there, but to dehumanize it like you did, like tough shit, they signed up, not a good look. Not a good look. I thought there was hope for you. Apparently not. Fairy Dust, are you there, friend? You might have timed out. If you want to request again, I'll bring it right back up. Okay, so we have the president going to the Supreme Court today. I don't know if he's going to go. Apparently he is. I've got a little bit more sound connected to this whole the SAVE Act, and I think it's important that we hear it, because these are the things that are going to be happening out there. First of all, actually, I'll get back to that. President's angry about being called out, the fact that he voted by mail. He didn't like being called out by members of the press because he voted by mail. But now, of course, mail-in voting is the worst thing to do. It's anti-American, et cetera, et cetera. But it's fine for me. I don't know if you remember, if you heard this answer, but this was at a cabinet meeting just last week. Here you go.
Tell me about mail-in ballots. Go ahead. You mean I use a mail-in ballot? You probably said, yeah, I did. You know what? Because I'm president of the United States. Okay. And because of the fact.
So again, just to pause right there, because this is not something that gets talked about enough. What the president just told you is that he is above the law. I can do it because I'm the president. When we tell you no kings, and when we say no monarchs, and when we say no dictators, this is the kind of shit that we're fucking talking about. Now, I know the chuds that sit around in MAGA spaces, like, and I want to back up just a sec, because actually, I think I have it. Maybe I think I took this picture, and the reason I did is because I think it's important. Do I still have that? So I don't normally like to mock on other creators, but when you see things like this, when you see a background that looks like this, right? Trump is showing these clowns how it's done. Okay, so you get creators like this out there in their little spaces, and these are the backgrounds that they have, right? And they'll have like 25, 30, 40 people in there. And this is the background. Trump is showing these clowns how it's done. Okay? What are they talking about? What does this group of people stand for? And I'll give a shout out to some of my friends who go in there. We do our occasional MAGA hunting. But what do you stand for? This is one of those clear divides. Sure, and I'll give Legend all the props, because our friend Greg, veteran, husband, father of special needs kids, flat out fucking girl dad. Hearts in the chat for Legend, please. You know who you are. Gregory, you are an outstanding human, and I'm so proud to call you friend. Okay? Served his country. He does our backgrounds. We always try to have a theme for our shows, whether it's Free Speech Friday, whether it's What the Fuck Wednesday, but we talk about things in general to help other people. That's important to me. It's important to our community. What is this? Trump is showing these clowns how it's done? What is this? This is an example of what we talk about in these spaces a lot, and this is something that we probably don't discuss enough. Let me just go back to the regular background. We probably don't talk about it enough. The clear divide between the left and the right. People on the left, not all of us, but people on the left, we stand for things, in support of things, to defend things, to preserve things, to protect things. What does the right stand for? Owning the libs. That's it. That's it. That's what they care about. So how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to go down in history as someone who has to hide their MAGA hat in their closet? Or in some cases have their tattoo laser removed? Or sell all their merch? Or do you want to be remembered? In particular, do you want your kids to remember and say, you know, my dad or my mom or my sister or my brother went to a No Kings protest. And I hear them talking about defending the rights of people all day. And I hear them talking about defending people that they don't even know. Where do you want to sit when history looks back? Yeah, exactly, Jimmer. Look their grandchild in the eye. Part of the reason that the conservative movement wants to do away with education is because they don't want to be linked to this history. I think the number is 36 Republicans. Moz, can you guys confirm that for me? I think it's 36 Republicans are retiring instead of having to face their voters. What does that tell you? Retirements happen all the time. It's not unique. But I think this is the biggest number that's ever happened in a cycle like this. So you get these other creators that are out there, and again, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. But what the fuck do you stand for? What do you stand for? And people say, oh, the leftists are all grifters. Grift away. You friends, you know what? Grift the shit out of me. Go ahead. I'll take all the coins you've got. I'll take all the gifts you've got. I'll take all the money you've got. Go ahead. Go ahead. The funny thing is, though, is that people support what we do and some of my other left-leaning creators because we're up here fighting for the rights of people. That's what we're doing. We're calling out the fucking SAVE Act. By the way, the voter suppression in the SAVE Act is going to harm Republicans more than it's going to harm Democrats. Cutting funding to programs like the ACA is going to harm Republicans more than it's going to harm Democrats. Closing rural hospitals going to harm Republicans more than it's going to harm Democrats. I say it every fucking day. We are up here fighting for you. What do people with those backgrounds, who are they fighting for? Don't forget, that's the same group of people who don't think food is a right. Period. That's fucking dangerous shit. Drives me crazy when you scroll around and you see those backgrounds. And then I think about some of the creators that are doing the fucking work, whether Politics and Matt or RJ or Ash or Emma or all these conversations that we're having are so fucking important because we're trying to remind people what is at stake here. What we're doing. Like, I went to the No Kings protest with an intention. Obviously, it was great to be able to meet people and have that and be part of a massive movement. But I'm there thinking about, listen, if we can make these changes, if we can get more progressives elected, if we can have a more trickle-up economic approach, prioritizing women and children, education, everybody fucking benefits. But I'm radical. That's fine. I'll take that. No problem. No problem. I'll take it. Give me the radical label. Get a big tattoo on my back. It says radical. Omar, how are you today?
Hey, good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Hey, so I'm a friendly. I just I was wondering if you could explain to me exactly, like, how does the SAVE Act introduce a poll tax? Because I've heard that a lot. How does that work?
Do you know what a poll tax is?
My understanding is that it's either charging directly or indirectly for the right to register to vote or to exercise your freedom to vote.
Correct. You cannot put a financial barrier in front of somebody to vote. So if you are forcing somebody to have to prove their citizenship either through getting a reprint of their birth certificate or for a passport, that would be voter suppression. Because you can't force somebody to do that.
Okay, so I've only ever voted through mail-in voting since I've been in the military, since I was at like 18, 19. So I've only ever done mail-in ballot voting. So I've never done it in person. So I can't really draw from that experience. But how would you be able to register in person without needing to spend money on like a driver's license, for example?
Is driving a right?
It is not.
Right. That's the key.
I see. Okay.
If you have to, if you're being forced to have to provide documents to prove your citizenship, don't forget, voter rolls are scrubbed all the time. Accuracy, those are done by the states. You know that states run our elections, right? At the federal level, you know the states run those. Okay, so states have their own registration rules. When you can register, some people have open primaries, some don't. If you are being forced to provide proof of citizenship, which requires a financial investment, then that would be a poll tax. That's unconstitutional.
Okay, so like let's say I'm a resident of Florida, and Florida requires me to show a driver's license or like a state ID to vote. Wouldn't that also be considered a poll tax?
Technically, but again, that's not a right. So anything that so you can have a variety of IDs. You can't just register to vote without some type of identification. There's got to be something there. You may not be a driver. You've got to have something to prove that you're who you are. The citizenship component is what's unique now.
Okay.
Don't forget, 10 instances over 25 years, right? 10 instances over 25 years. And by the way, Francis, our mod, lives in Florida. You can get a state ID in Florida for free.
Okay. Yeah. So I was actually having this conversation with a coworker of mine, and he was just basically asking me like, okay, well, if you go to register to vote in person, you still have to show a form of ID. And I wasn't sure. I knew that some states do offer a state ID card for free, but I wasn't completely confident. So I kind of felt kind of dumb in that moment.
No, that's all good. You're good. It's a fair question.
Okay. I appreciate it. You can drop me down now. That's all I needed.
No problem. Thanks for being here. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. So states offer free IDs, those along those lines. Like a driver's license driving is not a right. It's a privilege. Voting is a right. Any financial barrier put between you and your vote is a poll tax and thus voter suppression. Now, I've said this before. If the federal government decided to say, okay, we're going to take this seriously, we are going to guarantee a passport, which then requires proof of citizenship, to every U.S. citizen, I'd have no problem with that at all. I think most people wouldn't. So there's that, right? Okay. Let's try fairy this one more time, friends. See if you're able to connect. Because Florida man, you lose the privilege. Fairy, I'm not sure what's going on today, friend, but you're unable to connect. Good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning. Thank you for taking me up. I just wanted to dovetail off the unique experience I'm having right now, which is I was adopted by my stepfather, blessed by all means. And I didn't think about, hey, I'll be an adult and have business cards or a tyrannical regime that will force me to then prove my citizenship. So I have this hyphenated last name like my mother did. And now I'm facing with the fact that I was born in an Air Force base in California. I'm trying to find my birth certificate. It's just a hassle. So even to say, like, if they were to make it not a poll tax, the timing, like I'm being told that it's still 6 months out for me to even grab that birth certificate to prove again that I was this other name. And the messed up part is when I talk to people about this is so not a big deal. I know this, but it's very unique to me, but I'm not even being heard on it because I don't think it's not a very, this doesn't happen often is what I'm saying. And so when I'm trying to talk to people about it, they're like, wait, so you were adopted? I'm like, yeah, I was 16 turning 17. I'm trying to explain the whole thing. My pops, who's been my dad my entire life, he wanted to make it official, and they're like, oh, that's nice. But there's no help in that. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, how do you drive now? I'm like, well, the state, there was things that like were easier than they are now. So what do I do? So do I just lose my right to vote if, say, they pass it and it takes more than the time it does for the election that, it passes that time frame? I'm just out, right?
I mean, you bring up an interesting point, because we know that it's heavily skewed against persons that have changed their name through marriage or through identity, or a member of the trans community, whatever that might be. But you bring up adoption. I mean, I didn't even really think about that one. Right, your birth certificate might be different. Your birth certificate might be lost. I mean, who knows?
Right.
So this is exactly the point. Like provisional ballots, somebody just mentioned provisional ballots, domestic violence too, witness protection, whatever that might be. There's all these variables, which again tells you that this is voter suppression more than anything else.
So I just wanted to circle back, because I'm a gamer and I like watch. Anyways. So Last of Us is a game. Was a movie or a show they put on HBO, and what I remembered through the game, and then it showed through the show, which now it's kind of like, hey, art is kind of showing us before it actually happens, which was, there was a portion in there where they referred to people as voters, which was kind of a mocking situation because they took the rights of their votes away. And then they became this class of people in the post-apocalypse. You guys should look it up. It's eye-opening to say, like, wow, that is exactly our future.
The HBO series?
Yes, sir.
HBO. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, no, I know it's complicated. I appreciate you sharing your story with us, and it's another variable that we should look into. But thanks for being here and for being a supporter of the show. I appreciate you very much. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things, friends. I mean, it's something that, we never thought we would ever live with this in our country, but we are. Okay, I'm just gonna take a little break. We'll do this daily. This is our promo for our Do Something tour. I'll be right back. Honest. A lot of people in this country are tired. Not just busy tired. I mean soul tired. Tired of working hard and still feeling like they're falling behind. Tired of watching the news and feeling powerless. Tired of hearing promises every election season and then watching nothing change. And if you've ever felt like your vote doesn't matter, like your voice doesn't count, I want you to know something. You're not alone, and you're not wrong for feeling that way. Because when you feel ignored long enough, you stop believing anyone is listening. And when you stop believing anyone is listening, you stop showing up. But here's what I've learned in my life. The moment that good people stop showing up is the moment the wrong people take over the room. That's why I'm launching something called the Do Something Tour. Not because I think I have the answers, not because I'm here to tell anyone what to think, but because I believe we're losing something precious in this country. And that's our faith in each other. I'm going to travel the country to sit down with people who feel forgotten, people who feel dismissed, people who feel like the system is built for someone else. And I'm going to listen. I want to hear what broke your trust. I want to hear what you've lived through. I want to hear what you wish the people in power actually understood about your life. Because the truth is, democracy is not a speech. It's not a slogan. It's not something that happens once every 4 years. Democracy is people. It's parents trying to keep their kids safe. It's workers trying to keep food on the table. It's communities trying to stay whole. It's people who don't want to be a headline. They just want to be okay. And I know this. If we want change, we can't just hope for it. We have to participate in it. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to know every issue. I'm not asking you to trust politicians. I'm asking you to trust your own worth. To remember that your voice matters, even if it's been ignored. To remember that your vote matters, even if it hasn't felt like it has. And to remember that your presence matters, because this country belongs to you, too. So this is my invitation. Come back in, not because the system deserves you, but because your community does. Your kids do. Your future does. This is the Do Something Tour. If you've ever felt powerless, I want you to hear me clearly. You still have power. So, let's do something. Together. Thank you for letting me indulge there, friends. You know, again, it goes back to what I said earlier. You know, what's the opposition, especially in this TikTok space? What are they fighting for, right? And I'm willing to take my chances with the elections. I am willing to take my chances. Because I know the majority of people in our country, not just from the popular votes, but just from sentiment polling, etc. I know the majority of people believe in affordable health care and affordable housing, and that food is a right, and that women's bodies should be theirs to decide, and marginalized communities should be protected, and education should be supported, and taxation should benefit the middle class, and we should be investing in our schools, and teachers should be overpaid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's just the top line shit for me. I know that to be true. Those are the things that we're fighting for. What is the opposition? What are they doing? They are fighting against those things. So, in true do something spirit, ask yourself every day, what is it that you're fighting for? We fight for people that we don't see, that we don't hear, that we don't know, that are either shut in, that are whatever it might be. You know, the cracks in society, the people that fall through, those are the people that we're fighting for. That's what do something means to me. And we talked about this tour, and it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fucking awesome. First test drive was over the weekend in New York, and it was incredible. Exactly, Dottie. We fight for MAGA too. In fact, we fight for them even a bit more because their states are the ones that are harming them more than they even realize. They have the lower education outputs. They have the higher or worse healthcare reform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, when I was out in the kitchen, the dog chewed up one of my wireless microphones, which was fucking great. I just got it. Didn't even get a chance to use it. Anyway, thank you all. I appreciate that. Let me give a shout out to a couple people. Terry, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate your kind contribution. Grift on, Terry says. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. Anyway, back to the topic of the day. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. I think I've got another couple of requests, but I'll get back to those in just a second. So the president can use a mail-in ballot. He can criticize it. And then you get people like his commerce commissioner, who is Howard Nuttall. First of all, I don't know why the commerce commissioner is involved in legislation in support of executive orders to suppress the vote. Wireless mic fundraiser. Yeah, exactly. So this is the first part of the unconstitutionality of the executive order that he just signed.
I'm very happy to be signing the voter integrity, and I think it's going to be really great. So if you don't mind, I will take some time, and I'll make this signature absolutely perfect. So it looks very good.
And the signature.
So far, so good. Okay, so that's a big deal. Very proud of it. Yeah. And I don't know how it can be challenged. I'll probably challenge it. You may find a rogue judge.
By the way, have you ever noticed that when the president signs these EOs, he always holds up the picture? Hunter's mom, I love you, but things like that is blasphemy. Kipper does not need a friend. Anyway, when he signs these EOs, he holds it up. Like he's come home from school from 4th grade and he got his ABCs right and the teacher put 3 stars at the top of it and he's like waving it around when he walks in the door. This man is a fucking child.
You get a lot of rogue judges, very bad people, very bad judges, but that's the only way that can be changed, and hopefully we'll win on appeal if it is, but I don't see how anybody can challenge it.
Okay.
I don't see how they can challenge.
That's because you don't know how the Constitution works, you fucking dumbass.
And remember, it's about voter integrity. We want to have honest voting in our country, because if you don't have honest voting, you can't have really a nation, if you want to know the truth. Howard, I'll give that to you.
Okay. So there's that. And then and then Howard Nuttall has to chime in. First of all, this was a moment that was captured outside of Marine One as the president was going to be on the road, again being challenged for his own particular style of voting and the way in which he votes, and he's still going back to election integrity from 2020.
Is there an Arizona
Yeah, why?
Well, they probably thought the election was rigged.
No, it
right?
wasn't.
rigged though.
Oh, really? How do you know?
Your own Attorney General in 2020 said that there was not measurable voter fraud to change the outcome of the election.
I think it was rigged.
There's no, sir, where's the evidence for
Say
that?
it wasn't rigged. You're a rotten reporter.
Saying the election was rigged, and when it was rigged, that means you're a rotten reporter. So I'm trying to imagine what it's like in some of these meetings, because I'm at a point where I firmly believe that the president thinks it was rigged. I really believe it. I mean, whether it's delusion or whatever, he thinks it was rigged. You're not my friend. Get out of here. You just destroyed property. Get the hell out of here. Go guard the squirrels or something. I really, people in his circle that are just telling him this shit, right? They're just saying, listen, bro, you know what? Yes, sir. You're right, sir. You're right, sir. Hands behind their back, which is, again, why Todd Blanche goes to CPAC and tells people that, listen, they're going to fucking arrest us all because of all this bullshit. Yeah, I know. Biden ended up getting more votes after all the audits. That's exactly right. Trump has TDS. That's a good comment. So Howard Lutnick, again,
well, so we will know
on the back of this entire voter suppression bullshit, he had something to say because part of the executive order is changing the way in which mail-in ballots are sent. So listen to this fucking nonsense.
Right, run these elections. They will, if they want to use the U.S. mail, the U.S. Postal Service, they're going to get a code, a barcode from the U.S. Postal Service, and they're going to put that on the envelope, and we will have one envelope per vote. None of this time where we have no idea, there's no observers to mail, there's no envelopes, there's no certainty. That's all going to go away, and what the president is doing today is he's going to make sure that mail-in ballots are safe, secure, and accurate, and will have a clear distinction. If you voted by mail, you will have it on the envelope. Obviously not on the ballot, but on the envelope. So we will know 1 million mail-in ballots. There'll be 1 million envelopes, and you'll be able to know exactly, correctly, that citizens voted.
And this came up,
which we already fucking know. Okay? This shit just makes me mad. It's like, I mean, we already fucking know this. We're spending money on this. We already fucking know. We already know that citizens vote. What is the number? I think it's 10 over 25 years. 10 votes? 10. It's already a fucking law. Think of it this way. So, MAGA, this is going to require a little bit of logic. All right? Undocumented people in our country, right? If they commit a crime and they're caught, they are very likely, voting illegally is a federal crime. If they commit a federal crime, they're going to get fucking deported. Do you understand? They're going to get deported. Why would they risk that? You, sir, are being a bad dog. Why would they risk it? So then here we sit, 10 instances out of 2 billion votes. I was going to say, the math's not mathing. And speaking of math. Hello
Maths.
There. Hello there. Hello there.
Hello there. Now listen, can I just say something? This is fucking hilarious. As you duly noted, those of us who vote by mail, there already is a barcode. There already is a system, right? Yes. All of these things he said literally exist in every state with mail-in voting. But here's the part that fucking gets me. And this is what I want journalists to start doing. I know they're not going to. Ask that unqualified motherfucker what a barcode is and what it does. He won't be able to answer. Now, here's something that's even more interesting. Barcodes are super old technology, right? And there are better ways to do it.
Sure.
I'm all for improving the process. But standing toes down, right? And then go, and we're going to have this and we're going to have that. Also ask him, hey, I challenge you to go to a grocery store with $150 and buy food for a month. I challenge you to pump gas in your own car, knowing he owns something like a Tesla and won't be able to find where the fuel cap is, right?
Yeah.
These people are stupid. They were born stupid because they've never had to work. They've never had to live a normal life as the average citizen does on a daily basis. Most of them who came from Manhattan, like Trump, don't even have a driver's license, right? But they act as if they're doing something because they have nothing else to do. Imagine how pathetic and sad your life is. You're a billionaire, and the best you can do is be the commerce secretary. That is a sad testament to how incredibly wealthy, out of touch individuals continue to fail upward over and over again. These guys are all Ivy League educated persons who then want to say, college education is a waste of time and money. Yes, because your time and money wasn't utilized while you were there. You got into an Ivy League school because of your last name, because of who your mom and dad are, because of the amount of money they donate. The thing that we need to focus on is we need to start being petty. We need to start embarrassing them. The reporter that was yelling back at Trump saying there is no there there. That's the energy that we need, right? What we don't need is asking the question. Don't ask questions. You're not going to get an answer. Make declarative statements. It's not hard. You're fucking journalists. Do your job, right? Now, the real reason why I came up here is I don't act like a mod very often in this space because the actual mods do stuff. But dear MAGA men,
and you're afraid of them like me.
Yes. Yes. Well, I guess I'll publicly admit that I am afraid of them, but in a good way. Dear MAGA men, if Steve's fingernails bother you so much, why is it the first thing out of your mouth about his fingernails? Just do me a favor. Just say, Steve is handsome and distracting, and I wish I had the testicular fortitude to also paint my nails. That's all.
Good point.
That's all.
It's a really good point.
When you come up and do this stuff and you get muted, don't act surprised. Because you know what we don't have to do, and I haven't talked about this in a few minutes, and I'll shut up when I'm done saying this. We are not required to be tolerant of the intolerant. It is actually quite opposite. We are supposed to shun and remove the intolerant from polite society. We are supposed to ignore that they exist, because if we continue to accept the intolerance, we become an intolerant society.
Correct.
And we need to stop. So
I agree.
Fuck MAGA, fuck Donald Trump, and I support men with painted fingernails.
Preach. I will see you at noon, my time. Love
Yes,
you,
sir.
Talk to you later.
Love you.
All
Bye.
right, bye. All right, bye. It's a really good point. You know, it's a really good point. Listen, do what you need to do, but if that's going to be your energy and that's what you're going to focus on, you're proving our point. Fellas, self-love might be a good idea. Learn how to love yourself. And if you can do that, and you don't, and part of that is like, I'm going to express myself today with a little bit of color. Joy is, have you ever sat in a chair, gentlemen, have you ever sat in a chair and have an experienced nail tech, rub your hands with nice oils, right? And put some color on them, and then you get to soak your feet in bubbling water with Hold on, dude. Come on. Move out of the way. Soak your feet in bubbling water that's hot, right? And then they rub your feet. It's fucking awesome shit. It's awesome shit. Get over yourself, okay? Just get over yourself. All right, back to this little soundbite.
Great legal minds, they looked at the various documents and everything that was going on because the cheating on mail-in voting is legendary.
Cheating on mail-in voting is legendary? Hey, MAGA, do you understand that it's a fucking lie? So the president can vote via mail because he's the president, and he does that a lot. How is it legendary? Explain that to me. Explain it.
Horrible what's going on. And it's very clearly covered, very, very clearly. So I think this will help a lot with elections. We'd like to have voter ID. We'd like to have proof of citizenship, and that'll be another subject for another time. We're working on that. You would think it would be easy. It's a 98% issue for Republicans. It's 86%. The thing just came out, a poll, and it's 86% with Republicans and Democrats, not leaders, because the leaders of the Democrats cheat. And the only people that don't want to do voter ID are people that cheat. There's no other reason for it. Proof of citizenship, they want to be able to cheat.
But, sir, you cheat. You're the one that led a fucking coup. You're the one that organized an effort to, I don't know, use improperly signed, illegal alternate ballots, alternate slate of electors. You're the one that cheated, sir. That would be you.
There's no reason. They have all sorts of reasons, excuses, but it's all nonsense. They want to cheat. But the Democrats themselves are very high. It's a very positive, very, very good thing. The Democrat voters, the Democrat leaders, guys like Schumer, who are corrupt, they want to use it for cheating because their policy is so bad with, think of their policy, open borders for everybody where people pour into our country from.
Wrong. Policies include healthcare reform, education reform, infrastructure investment, tax codes that benefit the middle class, propping up the social safety net, making sure that women's rights for their body are protected, marginalized communities are protected, progressive politics, funding education. Yeah, those policies are so bad.
Countries all over the world. Think of that. You look at, just take any issue, take anything, everything they have is so crazy. But the fact that they don't want to sign voter ID is another issue. It's a big issue. The fact that they don't have proof of citizenship, that they...
That brought me back a little bit. I found this soundbite from post J6. This was the Election Defense Fund. Part of this was because of the claims that the president made going back to the 2020 election. This is where this whole thing comes from. What people don't know, and thank you all for the support. What people don't know is that Trump has been talking about fraudulent elections going back before 2015. He tied the birther situation with Barack Obama's birth certificate to a whole bunch of that kind of shit, setting up the 2016 election, saying that if the only way that I will lose is if they cheat. And then that has just continued. We're now talking a decade or more. He's been talking about the same thing. So there was Election Defense Fund that was set up in support of the election lies that he told. And a lot of this came out during the J6 hearings. So TikTok, educational purposes only. This is what they had to say about this.
Stolen were so successful. President Trump and his allies raised $250 million, nearly $100 million in the first week after the election. Between Election Day and January 6th, the Trump campaign sent millions of fundraising emails to Trump supporters, sometimes as many as 25 a day. The emails claimed the, quote, left-wing mob was undermining the election, implored supporters to, quote, step up to protect the integrity of the election, and encouraged them to, quote, fight back. The Trump campaign knew these claims of voter fraud were false, yet they continued to barrage small-dollar donors with emails, encouraging them to donate to something called the Official Election Defense Fund. The Select Committee discovered no such fund existed.
I don't believe there is actually a fund called the Election Defense Fund.
Is it fair to say that the Election Defense Fund was another, I think we called it a marketing tactic? Yes. And tell us about these funds as marketing tactics.
Just a topic matter where money could potentially go to be, how money could potentially be used.
On November 9th, 2020, President Trump created a separate entity called the Save America PAC. Most of the money raised went to this newly created PAC, not to election-related litigation. The Select Committee discovered that the Save America PAC made millions of dollars of contributions to pro-Trump organizations, including $1 million to Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' charitable foundation, $1 million to the America First Policy Institute, a conservative organization which employs several former Trump administration officials, $204,857 to the Trump Hotel Collection, and over $5 million to Event Strategies, Inc., the company that ran President Trump's January 6 rally on the Ellipse.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing.
The evidence developed by the Select Committee highlights how the Trump campaign aggressively pushed false election claims to fundraise, telling supporters it would be used to fight voter fraud that did not exist. The emails continued through January 6, even as President Trump spoke on the Ellipse. 30 minutes after the last fundraising email was sent, the Capitol was breached.
30 minutes after the last fundraising email was sent, the Capitol was breached. The entire thing has been one big fucking grift. Tens of millions. Don't forget, some of those election defense fund fundraising emails that went out automatically took money from people's checking accounts unless you saw the fine print and then checked the appropriate box. There were stories about people having thousands of dollars taken from them that they did not have. And then, of course, bank fees. Nice. Nice, right? And then a little follow-up on that. This was Bill Barr's concerns ahead of J6. The reason I'm playing this for you now is because I don't want this part of history to be forgotten. This entire thing, this entire voter ID, the SAVE Act is all connected to Donald Trump's fucking grift. He knows he lost in 2020. He couldn't accept it. He knows he lost. He admitted it in Jack Smith's indictment. You can see it in there. He fucking knows it. The entire thing is there, and people are still talking about it. It is by design. We're talking about it because we're not going to forget history. So this was Bill Barr, okay? His attorney general at the time. Here you go.
Left. And as I walked out of the Oval Office, Jared was there with Dan Scavino, who ran the president's social media, and who I thought was a reasonable guy and believe is a reasonable guy. And I said, how long is he going to carry on with this stolen election stuff? Where's this going to go? Yeah. And by that time, Meadows had caught up with me and leaving the office, and caught up to me and said that he said, look, I think that he's becoming more realistic and knows that there's a limit to how far he can take this. And then Jared said, yeah, we're working on this. We're working on it.
Had expressed to me that he was concerned that it could spiral out
This is Cassidy Hutchinson now.
of control and potentially be dangerous, either for our democracy or the way that things were going for the 6th.
In the final weeks before J6, senior officials inside the Trump administration were having very different conversations. Former AG Bill Barr, who had already said there was no evidence of widespread fraud, was privately questioning how long the election claims would continue. At the same time, Jared Kushner, Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, were reassuring others that Trump would, quote, come back to reality. But that wasn't the only tone inside the White House. Cassidy Hutchinson later testified under oath that there were internal concerns about J6 that things could escalate and spiral out of control. These accounts come from sworn testimony and contemporaneous reporting. What matters isn't just what was said publicly, but what was being acknowledged privately before J6. I don't want people to forget that, okay? Internally, his inner circle, including his own family, including his son-in-law, including his daughter, including Bill Barr, all the people around him. Remember, the adults that were in the room then are not in the room now. Those people saying, Mr. President, you lost. There is no evidence. There's no widespread fraud, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's holding on to this entire lie because he can now, because he's got Bitch Boy. He's got Howard Nutlick. He's got Attorney General Bondi. He's got the entire fucking right-wing Christian nationalist fucking army behind him, trying to convince the American people that this is an epidemic of global proportions, right? 10 instances of undocumented citizens voting in federal elections. 10 in 25 years. It's almost like the same percentage of complaints that the right-wing conservative Christians have about trans athletes. What's that number? I think that number is 10 out of 500,000 NCAA athletes. Such a tiny, infinitesimally small number of people, right? And why the fuck are we focusing on it? Because they are all about culture wars, because they don't have policy that they can support. Plain and fucking simple. Okay, so a little bit more sound I have for you guys about some more fucking bullshit that the president is trying to spew. This one is interesting because this has to do, this covers numerous boxes. This covers election integrity. This covers gas prices. This is wild. Don't forget, this yesterday we passed $4 in gas. Okay, we're now at $4.06 a gallon. I want people to hear what he has to say. Okay, so MAGA, you voted for this guy. This guy was your champion. This dude was your champion. You were told, he told you he was going to lower your gas prices. Okay, well, this is what he had to say about that.
Today they hit $4.
We're $4, yeah, and we have a country that's not going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months.
But Americans are feeling the effects in the interim.
And they're also feeling a lot safer.
What is the plan to bring them back down?
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon. And they'll become tumbling down. And stock prices were up today almost to a record because they...
Okay, let's pause there. The stock prices were up today almost to a record. The Dow was at 46,000 yesterday. Okay, not a record. Not a record at all. And I share that with you because, hang on a second here. Hold on. Give me a minute. Everybody keep tapping, please. Hang on. I hate it when I'm not prepared. And I got a story for you guys I'm going to read about Spotify, too, that's going to make you drive you fucking crazy. Because it's stupid. Yeah, there's this. Don't forget, the president said that the Dow was at a record and that it doesn't matter. The Dow's at a record. It doesn't matter. Your gas prices are $4. You're going to get nuked if we didn't do this. And then there's Pam Bondi.
We have an exception. If you're in the military, we have an exception.
Because Donald Trump,
if you're in a
the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin.
Hold on again.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great.
First of all, the Dow is not measured in dollars, Pam. It's not. The Dow is not measured in dollars, okay? And don't forget, the Dow did hit 50,000, not dollars. So for the president to say on the fucking record that the Dow was approaching 50,000 or a new record, no, not true, sir. Let's start this again because I think this is extremely important.
They hit $4.
We're $4, yeah, and we have a country that's not going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months.
But Americans are feeling the effects in the interim.
And they're also feeling a lot safer.
What is the?
Let me ask you a question, friends. Do you feel safer? So now I'd like to think we can have these conversations objectively with our friends on the right. Okay. Do you feel safer since we've invaded Iran? Are you that much of a gullible cuck that you really think that Iran was going to nuke us? Okay.
Plan to bring them back down.
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon. And they'll become tumbling down.
Okay, remember that. All he's going to do is leave. We'll talk about that in a minute because Ron's like, we control the fucking strait.
And stock prices were up today almost to a record because they know two things. Number one, we have a safe country. We had to take a little detour because we had a madman named Khomeini, who sadly is no longer with us. If we didn't knock him out with a B-2 bomber, we would have a nuclear weapon right now. It would have been used before today.
What?
And you may not be standing there asking that question.
You hear that, fearmonger friends? Do you understand how fucking pathetically dangerous that is? This is the president of the United States attempting to justify something by telling you, the American public, from the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk, that is our property, by the way, and we'll talk about what the judge just did to him in the whole ballroom discussion in just a minute. He's telling you that if we didn't do this, you would have been nuked by now.
Okay. So I think we have a country that understands that. We'll be leaving very soon. And if France or some other country wants to get oil or gas, they'll go up through the strait and Hormuz Strait. They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. I think it'll be very safe, actually. But we have nothing to do with that. What happens to the strait, we're not going to have anything to do with, because these countries, China will go up and they'll fuel up their beautiful ships and they'll leave and they'll take care of themselves. There's no reason for us to do it. We hit them hard. We got rid of a lot of the radicalized lunatics along the strait. But if they want something, but I would say that within 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3.
Good to know.
We're hitting them very hard. Last night we knocked out tremendous amounts of missile-making facilities. As you probably read or wrote. We knocked out. Excuse me.
Pardon me for interrupting. The U.S. will be gone or done with the war in 2
I think 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, okay, 2 or 3 weeks.
We'll leave because there's no reason for us to do this. Look, problem with the strait, a guy can take a mine, drop it in the water, and say, "Oh, it's unsafe." It's not like you're taking out an army or you're taking out a country, or they can drop it. Or you can take a machine gun from the shore and shoot a few bullets at a ship, or maybe an over-the-shoulder missile, small missiles.
What?
That's not for us.
Huh?
That'll be for France.
Oh.
That'll be for whoever's using the strait.
Got it.
But I think when we leave, probably that's all cleared up.
So, Gringo, I sent you an invite because you said I asked the question and you said you do feel safer. Were you scared before that? I mean, I understand you're probably scared every single day. I did send you an invite. So apparently you're fine and brave enough to chirp from the chat, but you're not brave enough to come and talk to me because I have a legitimate question for you. It's a legitimate question because for someone to sit there and say that they're no longer afraid of the nuclear threat. You weren't afraid of the nuclear threat from Iran until the president told you to be afraid of it. So that tells me one of two things. Either you're a cuck or you're a cuck. It's one of the two. But that's fine. You know what, Gringo? The 1,300 people in here, mostly friends of the show, want you to have health care. In particular, access to therapy, because you could use some. This is the biggest taco move of them all. The president puts us in this war, raising gas prices to the highest they've been in 4 years, okay? And they're just going to go up, all right? And the resolution in his mind is we're the ones that caused the issue. We're the ones that forced Iran's hand to close the strait. We're the ones that are supposedly in charge, but all of a sudden it's let Europe, let other countries figure it out. It's not on us. So 2 weeks? Really? Why are men and women who are in our military being deployed? Why are you still talking about taking Karg Island? The Iranians are like, bring it. They have threatened mass casualties, and it likely will be if we try to do this shit. So here we sit. A self-imposed creation of rise in profits for the military-industrial complex. Again, going back to Wall Street, right, and others. Gas prices now at above $4. People losing their health care. Now, unemployment up. The inflation rate, once we get it in April for March, is probably going to be pushing 4% as promised. And over what? But Gringo feels safer. Gringo, we're going to make a special binky in the merch store for you. It's going to be a picture of me on a pillow with my fingernails in like the hugging pose. So when you're feeling like when you need that security blanket, you can just give facts a squeeze. That might make you feel better. Bro, you really typed in the chat that you feel safer because Iran doesn't have nukes? They didn't before. Because he told you 8 months ago that the entire Iranian nuclear program was obliterated. Seek help, sir. Please. Seek help. But again, don't worry, guys. 2 weeks. All right, let's take a little pause here. Our mod Jess. Jess is a military wife. Please send some love her way. She is one of our amazing moderators. She has been doing a little bit of work. So we are going to go our continuing series of this.
These are Maga's words of wisdom.
Here we go.
Donald Trump committed any crimes with Jeffrey Epstein?
Donald Trump is not a crime-committing type person. He doesn't do that.
I'm sorry. What was that? Hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry. What? This is Jordan Klepper. Okay. What?
Donald Trump committed any crimes with Jeffrey Epstein?
Donald Trump is not a crime-committing type person. He doesn't do that.
What?
I've gotten to know him over the last several months, and he is honest.
Wait, you've gotten to know him? I'm sorry, what? You've gotten to know him? How did you get to know him? Okay.
To a fault. He's absolutely honest. He will not break the law. He will not lie, and he will not break.
What? Jess, this is gold. I don't even know if we can have another one after this one. Are you fucking kidding me? This is a woman on the street interview. Here from the top again. This is a woman on the street interview, Jordan Klepper. Holy shit.
Donald Trump committed any crimes with Jeffrey Epstein?
Donald Trump is not a crime-committing type person. He doesn't do that. I've gotten to know him over the last several months, and he is honest to a fault. He's absolutely honest. He will not break the law. He will not lie, and he will not break the law.
You don't think Donald Trump would lie?
No, he won't lie.
Really? Ever? You don't think he'd ever lie?
So he has a very strong conviction about truth. He started a social media company called Truth Social.
What? Okay. We have another one.
What do you think is the cause of the Civil War, the U.S. Civil War?
Well, I think the Democrats are pushing the race issue extremely far.
Okay. Hold on. Hang on a second. Hang on. When you're listening to this, and I promise you I'll play this one for you, but when you're listening to this, leftists, these people vote. Okay? They vote. Keep that in mind. Process that information however you wish, but they vote. Okay, let's do this again. What the fuck?
These are Maga's words of wisdom.
What do you think is the cause of the Civil War, the U.S. Civil War?
Well, I think the Democrats are pushing the race issue extremely far. I had a black man at my door the other day. I don't have an issue with race, but
what? This is not an April Fool's joke. Again, hearts in the chat for Jess for pulling these together.
they're making it such a big issue. They're making it, just even with this Claudia Gay, that she was asked to resign from this college in Harvard. It's not a race issue, but they're making it that, and I don't agree with that.
What about the Civil War in the 1800s? What do you think was the cause of that?
Oh, yeah, that was slavery, wasn't it?
Seems that way.
Oh my God. What? Come closer. Leftists, come closer. Those people vote. They vote. Yeah, was I a good boy, Jess? I listened to your instructions. Pat on the head. Those people vote. But they do. Whether they should be allowed to or not is irrelevant. They do. So do you think you could just be like, okay, they walk among us, so my vote is going to counteract the vote of the lady that says Donald Trump just is an honest guy and doesn't create crimes or doesn't commit crimes and doesn't lie. I know he doesn't lie because he created a platform called Truth Social. And then Democrats and whatever the fuck else it was, they make it about race. What was the Civil War about? Oh yeah, I guess that was about slavery. Cool. And she knows him. Good to know. Holy fuck. Those were fucking wild. All right. I think I've got a few folks that have requested. Trying to bring some folks up. Holy shit. Damn. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. Happy hump day. Happy April.
Yeah. Happy April Fool's Day. Listen, I had this thought that, I don't go on MAGA Lives. That's not something I do. I leave it to the experts. But when MAGA says things like, and we've all heard it, all politicians lie. Oh, that's all men talk like that. But then they deny that Trump has lied. If they say that all politicians lie, then he's included in that. Then he's a liar.
Correct.
And I think the cognitive dissonance is just not there. They can't see their hand in front of their face.
Correct.
They don't see that they're including him. Like all politicians lie except him.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the conditioning. That's exactly right. That's the conditioning. He's the only one. Like, for example, his name is in the Trump files more than anyone's, with the exception of Maxwell and Epstein. But anybody else that's in the files is guilty, except him.
Except him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
You're
crazy.
Right.
It's absolutely crazy.
Correct.
That's all I just like connecting the dots that they just don't see, that they contradict themselves.
I know. That's part. We heard examples of that indoctrination, but thank you for jumping in today, friend. As always.
No problem. You have a great day. Love you, Steve.
Too. See you later. I love you too. All right, bye. Yeah. So this is from the AP. States have taken sides. This is from Jeff Mulville. 24 Democratic state attorneys general put out a statement Wednesday morning saying that they are proud to lead the fight against this unlawful order, this executive order regarding mail-in ballots, et cetera, et cetera. While Democratic attorneys general have sued the Trump administration scores of times, the plaintiffs in this case represented by the American Civil Liberties Union and other civil rights groups. The Democratic attorneys filed court papers supporting their positions. 25 of their Republican counterparts filed a friend of the court brief backing the Trump administration. The only state sitting this one out. Anybody want to take a guess as to what state is sitting this out? If you know me, you know exactly what state is sitting this one out. Anybody want to take a guess? Nope. Nope. New Hampshire. Fucking New Hampshire. You guys think I kid? You really think I joke around when I talk about New Hampshire? I'm telling you. I'm telling you that there's some shit going on there. If I would support a wall and a gigantic bridge or a tunnel because I love Maine. My daughter was born there. Any way that I could avoid going through NH, I'd go over it. Yes, Maddie. A wall, a tunnel, whatever it might be. Whatever it might be. I would say we would carve it off, right? And give it to Canada, but they don't want it either. I shit you not. The Democratic attorneys filed court papers supporting their position. 25, so that would be 49. 25 of the Republican counterparts filed a friend of the court brief backing the Trump administration. The only state sitting this one out is fucking New Hampshire. Jesus. Okay. That's fine. Nothing to see here. What the fuck? Holy shit. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
You made it. Yes, I got you.
All right. Good morning. So sorry about that. I was in the place that I spend the most money at, the damn gas station, when I was trying to get you earlier. FYI, Chicago is at $4.39 for regular, and we're up to $5.59 for the premium gas, just in case anybody wanted to know. So we're getting screwed in the state of Illinois.
Damn.
So I actually was calling to give you all like a little giggle about how negligence actually has played in the favor of a lot of people, and nobody's talking about it because, of course, this goes totally against Trump, but I urge you all to go look it up just so you can get a giggle out of it. So back in the Biden administration, a young lady over west, I forget what her first name is, but she filed a class action suit against pretty much the Department of Education due to predatory lending practices. So Sweet V, and it's CARDONA, I think it is. And it's currently just going through the court system. So last year they put the guardrails in place for the post class as well as for the regular class. The post class has very specific deadlines. Well, Trump's stupid ass went and gutted the Department of Education, and he got rid of all the people who was combing through all of that evidence and all of those claims and trying to make those deadlines, and he slowed it down. So what happened literally Monday, that all the post-class people who they had not got back in contact with about their applications, they now have to forgive all of their loans. Every fucking last one of them that fell under the class action. So I want you all to say a huge congratulations to me because I got a free PsyD degree. So my PsyD is officially free and wiped clean because of the negligence of the fucking Trump administration. Fuck you, Donald Trump, but thank you for the free education. Ha ha.
Preach. Take advantage of that. Every fucking loophole. Good for you. Congratulations.
Damn right. Bye, guys.
Bye. See you later, Fairy Dust. I appreciate you. That's great. That's great. Yeah. I'm just like, what? I'm still stuck on the lady that said, no, my fiance is not from New Hampshire. Definitely not. I'm kidding. I just thought I'd drop that out there if anybody paid attention to that. Anyway, I'm still trying to go back to the lady that said he doesn't lie. All he does is tell the truth. And my evidence of that is his social media platform called Truth Social. Holy shit. Okay. I digress. So there's a few other things to cover, obviously, in the news. I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about the president's library. Or, as my daughter would say when she was little, library. So here it is. So I'm not sure if you've seen this, but there's a video that he put out on his source of truth, Truth Social, depicting what the Trump library would look like. Okay? So this was the president talking about it. And I want you to hear some subtleties because the presidential library is supposed to be just that, a library. Well, not in Trump world. Nope.
Huge skyscraper.
In Miami.
Is that all a library? What else is going in?
No, well, it's a library. It's a museum or a library. It's a presidential, but I wouldn't start it till I'm out of office. I don't believe in building libraries or museums. It's really like the Barack Hussein Obama one in Chicago. In not a good location, and it's a very unattractive building that's seriously late and seriously over budget. I think you're going to see a great one here, and it'll go up on time, on budget, best location in Miami. They say it's the best block in Miami, and the state worked with us.
Will people live in the floors?
No, it's going to be most likely a hotel. You know, this concept.
Oh, there it is. It's going to most likely be a hotel. So basically, it's Trump Tower South with a spot down below for Air Force One. Remember, the Qatari government gifted the president a 757, or whatever the fuck it was, right? That he won't even be able to take possession of, I think, until the end of next year. And then he'll take it and he'll put it in the library, which is going to be a hotel with taxpayer money.
Could be office, but it's most likely going to be a hotel with a beautiful building underneath and a 747 Air Force One in the lobby. It's just going to be a trick.
So Obi mentioned this before. People like this don't have a fucking clue about how life works. Do you think the president has ever had to shop on a budget? Do you think the president or Howard Nutlick or Scott Bessent has ever looked at their bank account and said, listen, I got an insurance payment, I got a tax bill, I got my mortgage, I've got food. And then you flip a coin as to which one's not going to get paid on time? We've all been there. We live it every fucking day. People scraping shit together, picking up extra jobs just to feed their kids. And our president, during the time of gas prices spiking to about $4, the economy in shambles, loss of life, men and women being sent to overseas to fight another fucking war, right? Unemployment up, inflation about to spike, job losses happening all over the fucking place, farmers struggling, communities across the country struggling, and he thinks this is a good time to talk about this, the fucking library, or this, the president, the ballroom. Out of the way, doggy. Okay. We talk about out of touch. So, MAGA, here's the thing. I'm going to show this picture to you again. You might decide to make a trip to Miami to go to the library, right? But I can fucking guarantee you that you're never going to be able to afford a room in this hotel. You're not going to get invited to the ballroom. You're not going to get invited to a tea time at Bedminster. You're not going to go to Mar-a-Lago. You're not going to any of those places. The president, your boy, the guy that you voted for, promised you the golden age. For whom? For whom? I would like to know. For whom? Because we talk about self-awareness and we talk about, being out of fucking touch. If you want to build a library, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Presidents can do it. I don't fucking care. That's not the point. Now you want to produce like minute-and-a-half video on Truth Social with this shit? I mean, Rusty's played some rooms in his life, but I don't think anything like this. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Wow. First thing in the morning. Yeah, when I saw the presidential library thing, I thought that is an awful lot of money to spend on a shelf.
True. The amount of books that he and his family have read in their life.
Yeah, I mean, does red fish, blue fish get an honorary spot? I just don't know.
Probably not.
I
So out of touch. I mean, it's so fucking out of touch.
Oh, 1,000%. I used to attend the Reagan Library from time to time. Sure. And it is a really solid museum. That's essentially what the libraries are. They're museums. I stopped going because starting in the Trump years, I know that a portion of the monies spent at the Reagan Library goes to the RNC. And I said, no, not going to do that. I don't know if there are rules when it comes to presidential libraries as far as how much has to go to their party, what have you. No idea. But this monstrosity, what a statement to opulence and arrogance.
Maybe he's trying to compensate a bit.
I don't think the word maybe applies here. But when I saw that, I thought, much like you just said, now you're going to bring this up. Now.
Exactly. Like, what does he think's going to happen? Like, what does he think? I'm trying to imagine this. Let's just game this out for a second, okay? What does he think is going to happen? He produces this video and he puts it out through social. Does he expect people to react positively to it? Does he really think that? Now, some will.
I'm sure that he thinks his base is just going to lap it up, and that's all he listens to. It's all he listens to is his base and his sympathy.
I'm not so sure anymore, though. Right? But you're right, and that's who it's. He didn't make it for them, though. He made it for himself.
Oh, of course. Yeah. But in that narcissistic mind, well, I'm going to make this for myself, and they're going to love it because it has to do with me.
Somebody just said this in the chat. Dottie said, a Trump library is ironic. That is so fucking true.
Yeah.
That is so true. Yes, exactly. It's totally ironic.
Yeah, it makes my head hurt just thinking about it. And
I know.
The nightmare has to end. It has to end. It has to end. Come on, wax plug in the aorta.
Agreed. Come on. Big Mac meal number 4 with the extra large Diet Coke or Big Mac with extra sauce. Yeah, I'm with you.
You need to be a national hero right now.
Agreed. Agreed. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
You got it, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Have a good day. Be safe. It's a great point, though. Like, it's just the timing. Can you get out of the way, dog? Come on. Stop it. You're needy today. You've already chewed up a microphone. Don't come back. Go that way. Go find a squirrel. Go terrorize something else. Again, it's just the timing. I mean, what the fuck are we doing? Hold on. Oh, listen. I've got a special guest. Everybody get ready. Good morning, you sexy bitch. How's it going?
Good morning, you sexy bitch. You said Florida too many times and it Beetlejuiced me in.
I'm sorry. Listen, you got to take ownership for this shit.
Actually, the fact that you said Miami Beetlejuiced me even harder because I grew up in South Florida in Miami-Dade County. And I know that this building is being built adjacent to something called the Freedom Tower. Which is historic, and it has served as a beacon for immigrants since the 1920s. In particular, it was like a center, a hub for Cuban refugees. So wow. I think the fact that it's going to be right there next to that is horrifying.
Wow, that's obviously intentional.
I don't know that he's that bright. It's downtown Miami, so he wanted something in the bigger buildings. And this is something that the shit stain offered him. So
it's so nice, though, right, Francis? I mean, it's so nice. It's not phallic at all.
It's gaudy, just like him.
Yeah. There's an auditorium with a gold Trump statue in it. There's a space big enough there's a space big enough for the Air Force One to be put in there. I'm sure. Yeah. Totally great.
I'm sure. I'm sure there'll be tons and tons of pictures of him on, Sylvester Stallone's body.
Oh, I'm sure. That's hot. Whew. Yeah.
Well, sweet. And I mean, because Sylvester Stallone also lives in Miami, so there's also that.
What are you talking about? Who's to say I won't go visit? Was bad. But yeah, so it's next to a building that was meant to be like a beacon for immigrants.
Yeah, it's called the Freedom Tower.
Lovely, just lovely, lovely. Okay. Well, thank you, you sexy bitch. I appreciate you.
Love you.
Okay. Bye. I can say that we have a mutual sexy bitch appreciation for one another. So somebody just asked what this picture is. This is a rendering of Donald Trump's library, post-president. Hopefully, it's posthumous library being built or plans to be built in Miami. While gas prices are spiking, while we're sending more American troops to fight another foreign war, etc. How many floors will there be? Who the fuck cares? You're not going to get an invite, MAGA. You're. I don't know why you keep thinking you're not going to get invited. You're not going to be picked. You can sit on the bleachers all day, every day, but you're not going to get picked. Here's the thing about the library, though. Ironically, Democrats have been asking what happened to the millions of dollars that were earmarked for the library. ABC, Meta, Paramount, and X reportedly agreed to pay at least $63 million in settlements with the president. The original fund was dissolved last year. So there were settlements. There were lawsuits made, right? And the monies, according to the administration, was to go to the construction of the library so that taxpayers wouldn't have to pay for it. Democrats are like, where the fuck is that money? Congressional Democrats are opening a probe into millions of dollars private companies pledged to President Trump's planned library, asking what happened to the money after the original fund was dissolved last year. Maybe we should get DOJ investigating. Senator Warren and Blumenthal, along with Rep. Melanie Stansbury from New Mexico, wrote on Monday to the leaders of ABC, Meta, Paramount, and X, requesting information about the terms of their agreement and the status of the funds they pledged to hand over to the president's representatives. The letters were shared with the Washington Post. The four companies each committed millions of dollars to the project through legal settlements with Trump in the months after the 2024 presidential election, seeking to resolve claims they had harmed him by restricting his access to social media or defaming him in their coverage. The commitments totaled at least $63 million, according to company statements and media reports. Think of that list of organizations, Meta, X, etc. Thanks, Hector. Meta, X, etc., all seated behind the president during its inauguration. So they donate this money, settlements for fines. That money was supposed to go to the Presidential Library Fund, and now there's no fund. But again, waste, fraud, and abuse, right? But again, what about Hunter's cock? What about Biden? Okay. But the DJT Presidential Library Fund Incorporated, which was set to receive at least some of the settlement funding, was administratively dissolved in September by Florida officials after it did not submit a mandatory annual report. 3 months later, Jacob Roth, the lawyer who originally incorporated the fund, filed articles of dissolution, open secrets, first reported last year. Quote, now it's unclear where this money has gone, exacerbating concerns about corruption that were apparent at the time of the settlement, the lawmakers wrote. Roth referred questions to his former firm, Dillon Law Group, which did not immediately respond to an email about why the fund was dissolved. Press contacts at ABC, Meta, Paramount, and X did not respond to questions about the Democrats' letters and the status of their settlement funds. A second nonprofit, the DJT Presidential Library Foundation, was created last year and reported in December that it had received $50 million in contributions, but has yet to confirm publicly that it took possession of the settlements. Federal rules do not require presidential library nonprofits to disclose their donors, and the organization did not respond to questions submitted through its website or sent to a press contact. James D. Kiley, a lawyer listed as a trustee of the foundation, also did not respond to questions about the source of its funds. The White House referred questions to Trump's library. Presidents typically set up post-presidential libraries that are used to house their records and archives. The organizations also serve as highly curated museums touting the president's record and offering their interpretation of events that unfold during their tenures and are funded by private donations. The lack of federal disclosures has drawn scrutiny because donors, some of whom may have interests affected by White House policy, you think, can make substantial contributions without public visibility. Again, because Trump is Trump, these are the kinds of things that I'm hoping going forward we put some more guardrails around. Democracy requires people to have integrity, people to have character, people to have respect for the rule of law. So maybe another good thing is about ethics reform and how we report fundraising donations and how we get dark money out of politics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do I have hope for that? Maybe. Elect progressives. Trump has said that he plans to use his planned Miami-based library to take possession of a 747-8 aircraft given by Qatar, valued at $400 million, among other gifts. The president's allies have also worked to acquire prized real estate for the site. Senators Warren Blumenthal and Rep. Stansbury last year were among several dozen Democrats who sponsored bicameral legislation intended to create new limits on fundraising for post-presidential libraries, saying that Trump was potentially flouting ethical safeguards on the presidency by accepting gifts from private companies and foreign governments. That legislation has remained stalled in both chambers. Violation of the Emoluments Clause, without question. Where is the anger from the right? Where is it? Why are you not upset about this? Tell me why. I mean, that's obvious fraud. It's obvious corruption. It's fucking brutally and blatantly obvious, but you don't fucking care. But yet here we are, still want you to have health care, still want you to have your children to have access to education and food and taxation that works to benefit you in the middle class. And we prioritize children and women in our society. But I know that's a bridge too far. I get it. Once again, this is what he had to say about that, the library.
Trump Presidential Library. It's a huge skyscraper.
In Miami.
Is that all a library? What else is going in?
No, well, it's a library. It's a museum or a library. It's a presidential, but I wouldn't start it till I'm out of office. I don't believe in building libraries or museums. It's really like the Barack Hussein Obama one in Chicago. In not a good location, and it's a very unattractive building that's seriously late and seriously over budget. I think you're going to see a great one here, and it'll go up on time, on budget, best location in Miami. They say it's the best block in Miami, and the state worked with us.
Will people live in the floors?
No, it's going to be most likely a hotel. You know, this concept could be office, but it's most likely going to be a hotel with a beautiful building underneath and a 747 Air Force One in the lobby, which is going to be a trick.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but there was an Apache helicopter pilot and crew decided just to do a flyby over Kid Rock's crib. And of course, there'll be no penalties, no punishment. They'll be fine. Nothing to see here. That's good. Yeah, we're fine with that. I'm sure somebody said this. Somebody mentioned in the chat about how Kid Rock will have a permanent residency in the basement of the fucking new Trump library. Sorry, Brooke. It's true. But again, nothing to see here. That kind of leads us to a couple of other things I want to talk about. In particular, the situation with the ballroom. Now, I think a lot of us saw this coming, but the judge was brutal. So I will read you the Truth Social post that has the president really, really angry. Really angry.
The National Trust for Historic Preservation sues me for a ballroom that's under budget, ahead of schedule, being built at no cost to taxpayer, and will be the finest building of its kind anywhere in the world. I then get sued by them over the renovation of the dilapidated and structurally unsound former Kennedy Center, now the Trump Kennedy Center, a show of bipartisan unity, a Republican and Democrat president, where all I am doing is fixing, cleaning, running, and sprucing up a terribly maintained for many years building, a building of particularly great importance.
Pause for a second. As somebody who writes for a living, whomever is writing this, it just drives me fucking crazy. The overuse of commas, the overuse of capitalization, and just the weird ass fucking sentence structure. So, again, these things matter to me. It's, fingernails on the chalkboard. But anyway, I digress.
Building up potentially great importance, yet the National Trust for Historic Preservation, a radical left group of lunatics whose funding was stopped by Congress in 2005, is not suing the Federal Reserve for a building which has been decimated and destroyed inside and out by an incompetent and possibly corrupt Fed chairman. Now, the once magnificent building is billions over budget and may never be completed and may never open. All of the beautiful walls inside have been ripped down, never to be built again, but the National Trust for Historic Preservation never did anything about it. Or have they sued on Governor Newsom's railroad to nowhere in California that is billions over budget and probably will never open or be used? So the White House Ballroom and the Trump Kennedy Center, which are under budget, ahead of schedule, and will be among the most magnificent buildings of their kind anywhere in the world, get sued by a group that was cut off by government years ago, but all of the many disasters in our country are left alone to die. Doesn't make much sense, does it, President DJT?
So in case you haven't heard, Judge stepped in and said, bro, you can't fucking do this. And the judge's ruling is fucking fabulous. And I took some notes. So this order came down yesterday, and it's the National Trust for Historic Preservation is the plaintiff, and they sued the National Park Service and all the defendants. So they're the plaintiff in the case. And the judge who signed the order is Richard J. Leon, a United States district judge, and I believe this judge was appointed by Bush, by Bush II, by Jr. Couple of the best lines in this, he pulled no fucking punches. At one point he said, 40, he's referencing U.S. Code 40-8106. This statute provides that a building or structure shall not be erected, on any reservation, park, or public grounds of the federal government in the District of Columbia without express authority of Congress. This provision was originally enacted in 1912, also August 14th, 1912, Chapter 355, Chapter 417, and then codified, and then was recodified again in 2002. Okay, that's one. But he got really, really fucking petty. Another one is this is another highlight for me. I think it's on page 14. So what do the statutes authorize the president to do? Section 105 authorizes the use of appropriated funds for the care, maintenance, repair, minimal alteration, refurnishing, improvement, air conditioning, heating, and lighting of the executive residence of the White House. The corresponding 2024 Appropriation Act provides for repair, alteration, and improvement of the executive residence at the White House at a fixed sum of $2,475,000, which is appropriated specifically for required maintenance, a resolution of safety and health issues, and continued preventative maintenance. Section 105D plainly authorizes the presidents to conduct ordinary maintenance and upkeep of the president's house, the White House, and nothing more, with an exclamation point. Reading the text as, quote, ordinary English word, heating, air conditioning, refrigeration, etc., the list of authorized actions, which includes words like care, maintenance, repair, and air conditioning, heating, and lighting, bring to mind things like replacing light bulbs, fixing broken furniture, and changing the wallpaper, not wholesale demolition of an entire building and construction of a new one. This is a judge's order, okay? Defendants point to alteration and improvement, arguing that these terms are capacious and permit the president to modify the White House and make it better. including constructing entirely new buildings like the ballroom. Defendants renewed ops at 10, a brazen interpretation indeed. Exclamation point. These two words cannot bear that weight for a few reasons. First, the meanings of alteration and improvement are narrowed by the common sense canon, which counsels that a word is given more precise content by neighboring words with which it is associated. Again, neighboring words, including refurnishing, heating, and maintenance, all strongly suggest minor alterations. Basically saying, dude, Congress has to give you the permission to do this. You don't get to decide. There's a budget. There's appropriated money for new wallpaper, to fix lighting fixtures, for new air conditioning, whatever that might be, as long as you're under budget. The best part is on page 33 of this ruling. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see here. Defendants predictably object, arguing that any... I'm sorry, I'll back up a second. Let me go to here first. Last paragraph of page 32. The public interest, too, weighs in favor of enjoining this project pending approval from Congress. Congress is the collective voice of the American people in our system of government. Congress then reflects the combined wisdom of the people's elected representatives, not just that of one faction or man. And the Constitution itself vests authority over federal property, including the White House, in Congress. And they cite the various acts. Noting that federal parkland in D.C. and around the White House are a unique resource that the federal government holds in trust for the American people. After all, the White House does not belong to any one man or even a president. Exclamation point. Defendants predictably object, arguing that any delay to construction would imperil national security. Okay. And expose the White House to damage. Grasping for straws, defendants call the construction site a, quote, coordinated and managed safety hazard that has disrupted existing security procedures. Thus, according to defendants, any construction delay will undermine national security. Please. The judge put please with an exclamation point after it in his ruling. Again, according to defendants, any construction delay will undermine national security. Bitch, please. While I take seriously the government's concerns regarding the safety and security of the White House, the president himself, the existence of large hole, the president himself created a series of large holes beside the White House, of course, a problem of the president's own making. Please. Bold assertions of national security cannot excuse the government's failure to follow the law and then insulate those failures from judicial review. As in, you can't be exactly evil. Exactly. As in, you can't be fucking serious, bro. So I think there's 20 or 25 exclamation points and at least 3 or 4 references using the word please. This is a judge's ruling, okay? This is a judge's ruling. And the judge said, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You can't do this. You are breaking the fucking law. You are violating the law. And then every other example that the president brought up, first of all, California, that's state. The Fed went through Congress to get the approval, as you're supposed to do, and Congress approved it, and the president was like, Again, defendants predictably object, arguing that any delay to construction would imperil national security and expose the White House to damage. Grasping for straws, defendants called the construction site, quote, a coordinated and managed safety hazard that has disrupted existing security procedures. Thus, according to defendants, any construction delay will undermine national security. Please. While I take seriously the government's concerns regarding the safety and security of the White House grounds and the president himself, the existence of a large hole beside the White House is, of course, a problem of the president's own making. Oh, that's beautiful. I will send the actual court ruling to the mods, and then they can post it in the Discord if you guys are interested in reading it. What? So, yeah, I guess you just leave first of all, here's the funny thing about it is that the East Wing is like the East Wing of the White House. If you've never been, the East Wing is where it's like the visitor's entrance. That's where you kind of go in through, right? I would say it's unfortunate for people who've never been to the White House. I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to see that. It's really unfortunate. You didn't get a chance to see the Rose Garden. You didn't get a chance to see all those kinds of things. I've been there a couple times. It's really great. It's humbling. It's small. It's actually really humbling. It's actually kind of a cool thing. But the East Wing primarily belongs to the First Lady, and I'm not even convinced that Melania and Trump are even married anymore. Technically, it's just it is whatever it is. But here we sit, right? So the East Wing is gone, and now he cannot continue construction of the ballroom. So what's he going to focus on? So he's all proud of his picture he can travel around on Air Force One with, showing it off. He's so sweet. Speaking of that, I'll keep that picture right there for a second because I've got Jon Stewart in his, unique style. Let's see if I can find this. You'll laugh at this one because he does his own little breakdown on the president's little pet projects. And then we're going to talk about Caroline Leavitt, speaking of New Hampshire, because the president didn't have some very, very nice things to say about her. But here's Jon Stewart talking about the ballroom.
Astounding that this nuclear-armed man-baby doesn't seem to have any understanding of the confusion and anxiety that his ill-planned adventure in Iran is causing this country. He's just trucking along like it's any old episode of The Apprentice. Here's Trump last night on Air Force One. Watch him try and focus for more than 2 sentences on the war he started before veering off into what really matters.
It truly is regime change. And regime change is an imperative, but I think we have it automatically. I did something today. We just got these in from the architects. A lot of people are talking about how beautiful the ballroom for 150 years.
So he's talking about Iran, and then he grabs this fucking picture and he holds it up for the reporters. Okay, gas is $4 a gallon. People are losing their jobs. People are being deployed overseas. You heard from Blue Star moms and parents and veterans here. Okay, unemployment's spiking. We're probably going to see 4% inflation. But don't worry, friends. We've got the presidential library. We've got the newly minted Trump coins, and we've got this.
Wanted to build a ballroom at the White House. Here's another view. This is coming from right opposite the Treasury building. Here's a view on the south with the porch. This is a view of it from the north, and it'll be Corinthian, which is considered the best, most beautiful by far.
Now, I know what you're thinking. How do you get something that size on a plane?
That's a good point. How'd you get that through security?
But I guess he's allowed. It's his emotional support ballroom picture. Now, you may say, well, what prompted this presentation about the ballroom? Well, it turns out this incredibly long-winded visual aid-assisted timeshare presentation was spurred by a critical New York Times article that had the gall to suggest that sometimes Trump's plans don't hold up to scrutiny.
The Times had architects analyze plans for the ballroom. They pointed out design flaws like staircases that seem to lead nowhere.
Oh, okay, woke New York Times. When MC Escher does that, it's art.
So again, it's easy to mock. Sometimes the stories write themselves. But we're talking about a fucking man baby. This guy just has this devoted group of followers that just don't see the bullshit that we do. That's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate because, again, you don't have visibility into the people who donated. There was a, presidential library fund that has disappeared. No one knows where that money goes. That's a gap. That's a hole in our system because apparently you can have unlimited donations to the presidential libraries, although we don't really know. But Jon Stewart's right. And that New York Times had that story about how you've got columns. There's so many columns, the Corinthian columns, as the president likes to call them, in front of the windows of the ballroom. And you can't even look outside, right? Big picture is that his loyal voters are some of the ones that are struggling the most. And what does he do? He goes out and brags about a new library. Thank you. A new library. That's cool. He goes out and he brags about the ballroom. And he brags about the fucking gold coins. But wait. There's more. Because during that fucking cabinet meeting, when the Glaze Fest continued, he was asked a question of Doug Burgum. Doug Burgum is the Interior Secretary. And apparently, I don't know, as part of these conversations, I guess Venezuela wants to pay homage to the president. I shit you not, the Glaze is like nothing I've ever seen before.
And I have both had a chance to be there. I literally think they're going to put a statue to President Trump, and I'm not
in Venezuela. Okay.
It's not a political statement. It's an actual thing.
So. That would be a great honor.
No, because it's like they view President Trump like Simon Bolivar. He's the liberator of a country. Their production on oil production is climbing towards 50% increase just in the 3 months we've been here. That flows to American refineries on the Gulf Coast, lowering the price of gas in America. So it's a
forget that. When are they going to do the statue?
What? Venezuela is going to put a statue up? Okay. Okay. I guess. I mean, sure. If that's important to you, Venezuela, you can do your thing, boo. Here's another little bit of sound on that particular topic. Actually, first, here's Foghorn Leghorn again, talking about, I'm pivoting around here a little bit because I wanted to play this sound and make sure I'm going to get this out there. This was the Senator Kennedy, who has been a pretty loyal supporter of the president. He's getting a little frustrated now because you can hear in his voice, and he's expecting to get, he sits as a prominent position within Senate committees, and he's trying to get more information about the Iran war. And this is what he had to say about the presidential briefings.
I don't know. We don't have to ask the president. He has intelligence that I don't have.
Speaking of yesterday, the president said that he doesn't want to use the word war because that would require congressional authorization, and he prefers to call it military operation. Do you agree with him that this would require authorization if it was a war?
I agree that he has the authority under both Articles 1 and Articles 2 of the United States Constitution to do what he's doing.
Are you satisfied with the amount of information that you were getting from top Pentagon officials?
No, but members of Congress would always like more. What I would like to have is another briefing by Rubio, Hegseth, Radcliffe, and General Kane.
What questions do you still have?
The other briefings we have are pretty worthless. I mean,
there you go. The other briefings we've had have been worthless. He called out Pentagon. He called out Kegsbreath. He called out Ratcliffe from the CIA. He called out Rubio. It's worthless. The fuck are we doing? Give us a fucking update. Tell us what we need to fucking know. As the president, by the way, currently is sitting in the Supreme Court. He did, in fact, go to the Supreme Court for that briefing. And by the way, friends, through all this fucking chaos, the president's net worth has increased. Personal net worth, 183% in 2 years. Yep. Just throwing that out there. Just in case you were worried about the president's solvency. Yeah. So this is the precursor to his little sojourn to the Supreme Court today.
Your arguments about your executive order trying to get rid of birthright citizenship.
And I'm going.
You're going to go to the Supreme Court
I think
tomorrow.
so. I do believe.
And just sit there and listen.
Because I have listened to this argument for so long, and this is not about Chinese billionaires who are billionaires from other countries who all of a sudden have 75 children or 59 children in one case or 10 children becoming American citizens. This was about slaves. And if you take a look, slaves, we're talking about slaves from the Civil War. And if you take a look at when it was filed, all of this legislation, all of this, everything having to do with birthright citizenship, it was at the end of the Civil War. The reason was it had to do with the babies of slaves and the protection of the babies of slaves.
And which justices will you be listening for most closely?
I love a few of them. I don't like some others. And you know, you say what you want, but you have the ones that were appointed by Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. I don't care how good your case is. You can have the greatest case ever. They're going to rule against you. They always do. And it's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah, it is.
Now, the Republicans tend to...
I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, it actually is. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. Like, literally, that's how it works. You know, 3 branches of government, co-equal branches, legislative body, the most powerful in our system. They're the ones that pass laws. The executive branch signs and enforces laws. Supreme Court determines constitutionality of said laws. So it doesn't matter who the fuck it is. If you're violating the law, you would want the Supreme Court to tell you so. So, sorry, boo.
be very different. They want to show how honorable they are. So a man can appoint them and they can rule against them. It's so...
Oh, you see, that's where it is. I appoint you, therefore I expect loyalty. Got it. Yeah, that tracks.
Proud of it. We're so proud we ruled against Trump. We're so proud. We're above it. There are those that say that's wonderful, and there are those that say they're so stupid.
Any comments, MAGA? Anybody? You heard it. Anybody? Any comments? So the expectation then in MAGA world is that if you're appointed by the president, you are expected to be loyal. Is that how it's supposed to work? Qualifications are irrelevant, right? Jurisprudence is irrelevant. Honoring the Constitution, right? Okay. Just want to make sure I understood that properly. The fuck. Okay, couple more things here, and I have to wrap it a little bit. So we started the show today with this report. I did not have this on my bingo card, but what a great way to sort of to focus in on the end of What the Fuck Wednesday. I looked this up, and the appropriate term to use in referring to this particular individual is cross-dressing. I wanted to make sure that's what I can find as the most acceptable term to be used today. President Trump has reportedly weighed in on the emerging controversy surrounding his ex-Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's husband, Byron. This comes after a viral report alleged his involvement in online fetish forums. President addressed the allegations surrounding Byron Noem during a phone call with the Daily Mail. Reacting to the reports, he said, quote, "They confirmed it? Wow, well, I feel badly for the family if that's the case. That's too bad." He made it clear, however, that he had not personally verified the claims. Quote, "I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything about it. That's too bad. I just know nothing about it," Trump added. The controversy began after a Daily Mail investigation published yesterday claimed that Noem's husband had been active in online fetish forums. Okay. Listen, I am not here to judge this at all. Do your thing. Let your freak flag fly. If that's your thing, go for it. Do it. It's the hypocrisy connected to assaults on marginalized communities and whatever else, right? The controversy began after a story was published about Noem's husband had been active in online fetish forums. The report includes messages and photos tied to him, some of which show him dressed in pink hot pants and wearing large prosthetics. According to the same report, Byron is said to have spent at least $25,000 interacting with fetish models in what is described as, quote, the bimbofication scene. Messages cited in the investigation reportedly show him praising the models and expressing their explicit preferences while also referencing his marriage. A rep for Kristi Noem responded to the situation in a statement to the New York Post saying, Ms. Noem is devastated. The family was blindsided by this, and they asked for privacy and prayers at the time. I'm sure the prayers are going to be fine in the bimbofication community. Kristi Noem and her husband have been married since 1992 and have 3 children together, Cassidy, Kennedy, and Booker. The report surfaced just weeks after Noem was dismissed from her role in DHS. Her exit followed a series of tense congressional hearings focused on immigration policies and other decisions. During her tenure, she also faced separate scrutiny over reported associations with political advisor Cora Lewandowski. Let's be real, they're banging on the jizz jet. We know that. Though some claims were strongly denied, so far there has been no direct response from Kristi Noem or her husband. Again, do your thing. Whatever you need to do your thing. If that's your game, go for it. I really wish more people, especially men, were more honest about your sexual fantasies. If they're between consenting adults or whatever turns you on, fucking go for it. Do your thing. If it's consenting and no one's getting harmed, then do your thing. Do your fucking thing. Don't care. But my goodness gracious, what did Gregory do? I got you, Boo. I'll come up with one tomorrow for you, friend. Appreciate you very much. I just called Gregory Boo. But seriously, if that's your thing, let your flag fly. It's the hypocrisy connected to all of this. That's the issue. Another example. Another example I have of that. Hang on a second. I've got to find this for you. Everybody keep tapping, please. You guys can help us. Actually, before I do that, let me just thank another couple of people who help us with our cause today. Tina, thank you so much. Do something safe with your hard work. Appreciate you. That's very kind of you. Also, Rita, thank you for your $100 donation, Rita. That's incredibly kind. Thank you so very, very much. Hearts in the chat for all of our donators. Let me adjust this. We can do this. We're approaching 9K. Maybe we can bang that out today. 823. There you go. Okay. So on that point about how it's the hypocrisy to me more than anything else, the hypocrisy that creates this perception that they generally are opposed to people's alternative lifestyles. Well, we have reporting. Hang on one second. Here you go.
After Benny Johnson said this.
CPAC meeting last week in Texas. Benny Johnson, of course, right-wing, talking head, fucking delusional fool, took RT money.
My number one priority is having children and starting a family.
That's a great message, Benny. I appreciate that. Your number one goal is to be married, have children, raise a family. Okay. So this meeting was in Dallas last week. Okay, cool.
Because the left, we're going to just outbreed them. Can I get a witness? Can I get an amen?
Grindr experienced a severe outage in Texas. Why is it whenever a bunch of Republicans meet, Grindr always seems to fail?
Nothing to see here. Once again, do your thing. People on the left, we embrace that shit. Do your thing. Do your thing. You want to stand there. You want to talk about family values. You want to talk about the nuclear family. You want to discredit marginalized communities. You want to attack them. You want to legislate their rights away. You want to harm them. But meanwhile, you're crashing Grindr. Okay. I don't care. Do your thing. Be honest with yourself. If you need to step out of the closet for freedom, then fucking do it. Just be yourself. Just stop being monsters and vilifying people for their lifestyles. So when somebody asks you about these kinds of questions, and I've been on lives before and this question comes up and say, because people generally think on the right, the moral majority, right? When they say being gay is a choice. So then I asked them, I said, okay, if that's true, when did you choose to be straight? And their heads explode. Because then when they answer, they say, well, I've always been that way. Oh, really? Okay. Good to know. And that kind of tracks on this decision that was made by the Supreme Court regarding conversion therapy, right? So I'm going to play some sound from, you probably heard about this. It's just, again, it's just despicable that we just use anybody in conservative America wants to tokenize anyone that doesn't support their values. So this is from Therapy Jeff, and he says it very, very well.
The Supreme Court ruled today that banning conversion therapy for kids is a free speech violation. I am sorry. What? Whose free speech? The therapist's, not the child's? The adult with the license gets the constitutional protection. The kid getting psychologically dismantled on that couch does not. What the fuck? Free speech. Okay, you know what that means in this context? A grown adult with a license sits across from a kid who didn't choose to be there, whose parents sent them there, and tells them that they're broken every week. That's the speech we're protecting. That's not two people having a debate. That's not a difference of opinion. That's an adult with authority over a child telling that child they're wrong for existing. And we just made that legal. Such a cool place we live in. You know what else is speech? A doctor telling a patient they don't need chemo when they do. We regulate that. We regulate harmful speech from licensed professionals constantly. Because when you're in a position of clinical authority over someone, your words aren't just words, they're interventions. They have effects. We hold you accountable for those effects. Except for this. We have the research too. Tens of thousands of participants, kids who went through conversion therapy have significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide attempts. We are not debating this. The data is there. The court just decided it doesn't matter as much as a therapist's right to keep doing it. Fucking bonkers. Oh, and by the way, this dropped on Transgender Day of Visibility. Cool. 8 justices, 1 dissent. Jackson, the only one who said out loud that states have always been able to regulate what licensed professionals do to patients, and that delivering harm through language doesn't make it not harm. She was right, obviously. And she was alone, so that's great. There are kids in 30 states who just got a little less protected today, and the people who did that to them dressed it up in the Constitution and called it freedom. It is not freedom. It's a license to hurt children. We are so fucked.
Justice Jackson was the dissenter. As I would expect her to be, right? You know, it's the ultimate hypocrisy. That's the part that gets me. You know, it's one thing. You know, it's. I don't know how I want to say this. It's the theme that we always talk about here, right? It's the targeting of marginalized communities, right? It's the targeting of marginalized communities. Out loud, right? Out loud, and yet here we sit with the pro-life crowd who doesn't care about sending people to war, you know, the pro-forced birthers who don't give a shit once the child is born. It's the anti-waste, fraud, abuse crowd who fully supports a presidential library and a ballroom. It's them, right? It's the freedom fighters, America First, who don't seem to give a fuck anymore about asking the Pentagon for an additional $200 billion for a war that doesn't benefit us at all. Meanwhile, families are struggling. So MAGA men, fellas, if you're in here, I want you to hear this from me. Guys, it's not a flex to say that you work 70 hours a week. It's not a flex. I don't want you to do that. I would rather you spend time with your family, because that should be the most important thing. If you have to work 70 hours a week to make ends meet, what the fuck does that tell you, bro? You know who loves the fact that you are out there breaking rocks or whatever 70 hours a week? It's these people behind the golden doors. But the Dow. I would rather you work 40 hours a week or even less. I want you to have health care. I want your children to see their dad. I don't want you to have to go to work before the sun is up and come home after the sun is down and then do it again on Saturday and Sunday. So when you go into these spaces and we ask you these questions and you say, I work 70 hours a week, I want mine. My answer is going to be, why the fuck do you work 70 hours a week? Maybe you should get a different job. I am all about you. To tell you what, you all think this is true. You find me a left-leaning person, a liberal, who doesn't value hard work. You don't exist. We value hard work. We just want to make sure we're working for the right things. I don't want to work for this. I want to work for you. I want my taxpayer dollars to make your schools better, to make your infrastructure better, to make our healthcare system better, to make sure that if things go really bad and your life goes sideways, you're not going to fucking starve. Because you understand, friends, you may not understand, MAGA. You may not understand this. The president doesn't give a fuck about you. He's talking about a library and making plans to build a ballroom where his hand just got slapped and he can no longer do it. And here you sit supporting that. So once again, we are out fighting for you. I go back to this live that I saw over the weekend. And we talk about the things that are important to us every single day. And what are they talking about? Trump is showing these clowns how it's done. He's got Obama and Biden hiding, hugging him. What the fuck is that? What do you fucking stand for? What is that? If you're trolling, just say, I'm here to troll libs. Like what? What are you fucking doing? Why? Why is that a flex? It's not. It's embarrassing. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. But again, you're going to continue to do it because you think it owns the libs. Doesn't. You're owning yourself. That's the worst part. You're owning yourself. And we'll go into these lives and we'll ask the questions. And we'll say, how does this stuff benefit you? How does another endless war benefit you? How does $200 billion, a supplemental for the Department of Defense, how does that benefit you? The president wants you to think that if we had not done this, that we would have been nuked. Do you believe that? Why didn't it happen before? If the nuclear program in Iran was where it was when Biden left office, why didn't they nuke us then? Right. Okay. Okay. Is this AD, what is that you just posted on X? Is that an April Fool's Day thing, or is it something I can read? Okay. So this is I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this. This is posted by the Iran military media on X. Okay, thank you. It's posted on X. It says this: Dear people of America, we know this war is not your war with Iran, and we will not forget your support over the past month. With us, the missiles. With you, the streets. No doubt that all of us together will defeat the stupid, warmongering yellow pig. God bless us all. In an attempt to gain American sentiment. There was a lot of people in New York during No Kings that were talking about these kinds of things. No one is defending the Iranian regime. No one. No one is defending that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about why the fuck The president of No New Wars has put us into this situation and is now tacoing his ass. Don't forget, he told you this is going to end in a couple weeks and the gas prices will plummet. Do you think that's going to happen? Sure, they always go up and down. Do you think it's going to happen? Because he told you the only way for that to happen is for the Strait of Hormuz to be opened up. Now he has said, listen, we're not going to do it. We're going to let Europe do it because we've got plenty of oil. Okay. This came in just a second ago. Thank you, Brooke. Trump departs the Supreme Court as oral arguments in the case continue. Trump spent just over an hour inside the courtroom. He apparently was only interested in hearing the arguments by the government's lawyers, Solicitor General John Sauer. The president departed shortly after Sauer wrapped up, and the plaintiff was invited to present her case. Of course he bailed. Didn't want to hear the whole case. So again, here we sit. Gas prices are going to continue to go up. Stock market's not breaking records. Unemployment's spiking. Inflation's going to be pushing 4%. By the time we get the numbers in April, which will reflect March, because don't forget we haven't seen any of that yet, and here we are. All right, I'm gonna play one more bit of sound, and I do have to wrap. Caroline Leavitt, I would like to think, is always in the president's good graces. Well, maybe not so much. Let me play a couple of parts here for you guys because I think this is important. Let me see if I can find. I'm going to play this sound from Brendan Carr. Brendan Carr is the FCC chairperson. And like I said, the president's pissed off at the courts for a variety of reasons. So we'll start with this. Again, you're going to hear clapping and laughter at the CPAC when he spoke last week. This is, again, Brendan Carr, FCC commissioner. When we talk about fascism, when we talk about the rise of autocracy and authoritarianism, I've been telling you guys from the very beginning that I've been very concerned about the press. I'm concerned about lots of things, but in particular, the press. Okay, so I'm supporting the press today by wearing this. Here you go.
President Trump is winning. Look at the results so far. PBS defunded, NPR defunded, Joy Reid gone from
PBS, NPR defunded. Well, guess what? A judge has ruled that cutting off funding for NPR and PBS is unconstitutional. Federal judge ruled yesterday that parts of President Trump's executive order stripping National Public Radio and PBS of federal funding violated the First Amendment by seeking to punish the two news outlets for speech he dislikes. U.S. District Judge Randolph Moss permanently blocked the Trump administration from enforcing two provisions of an executive order Mr. Trump signed in May, which directed all federal agencies to cut off funding to NPR and to PBS. The message is clear. NPR and PBS need not apply for any federal benefit because the president disapproves of their left-wing coverage of the news, the judge wrote in their decision. Moss wrote that the directive is unconstitutional because the First Amendment, quote, does not tolerate that kind of viewpoint, discrimination, and retaliation. Ted Boutros, who represents NPR, cheered the decision from the court as a victory for First Amendment and the freedom of the press. Quote, as the court expressly recognized, the First Amendment draws a line which the government may not cross at efforts to use government power, including the power of the purse, to punish or suppress disfavored expressions by others. The executive order crossed that line, he said in a statement. That is a huge fucking win right there. That is a huge win. We don't talk about the little wins enough. That is a big one. That is a big one. Fucking huge. That the court said, listen, we all knew it. It took the court to stand up and say it, though, but that's a big one. PBS and NPR, we all grew up on it, right? It's important. They do exceptional journalism. They're pretty much right down the middle. I mean, again, they report factually. So the president said, we're going to take this, they're going to take this away. Brendan Carr celebrates it. And the court said, no, you're not. So I have to find this sound from Caroline Leavitt, or a reference that the president made to Caroline Leavitt, because it's really interesting that he said this about her. I was not expecting it. Hang on one second. Let's see if I can find that. Of all people, she has been so fucking loyal to this guy, and he took an opportunity to just throw her under the bus too. See if I can find it. I will. So again, what did we learn today? We learned that he's not going to be allowed to finish the ballroom. That's off the radar. He's not going to be allowed to continue to punish PBS and NPR. That's off the radar. Is this the one? I played that sound for Brendan Carr. I think this is it. Hang on. No, that's not it either. I'll find it. Give me a second. I found this last minute and I did not add it to my I did not add it to my list. Give me a second. You guys are so kind. You'll wait for me. I appreciate you all very, very much. I'm going to save the Spotify story until tomorrow because it kind of touches on a lot of other things. Just the fact that Spotify has been ripping off artists for a very, very long time. Something I think we've all known, but when you see it in stark detail like that, it's pretty fucking bad. Okay, here you go. So Caroline, his loyal press secretary, who goes out there every fucking day, and defends him with all she has. And, every pregnant woman I've ever seen, they are glowing. They look stunningly beautiful. She does not look good. So the lying and everything else is not working for her. And I feel bad. I really genuinely feel bad that she's in this position because it's not healthy for her. But she has gone on the record numerous times lying to the American public in defense of her boss. And this is what he has to say to thank her.
Washington Post is almost extinct. The papers that are being dishonest, papers generally, people don't believe the media. And to finish, I got 93% bad publicity. Some people say 97, but between 93 and 97. A person that gets 97% of bad stories, maybe Caroline's doing a poor job. I don't know. She's my representative. You're doing a terrible job. Should we keep her? I think we'll keep her. But I get 93 to 97% bad press, fake press, all fake.
Wow.
I won in a landslide.
Damn.
When you get 93 to 97 bad stories, bad press, and you win in a 97, but between 93 and 97, a person that gets 97% of bad stories, maybe Caroline's doing a poor job. Maybe Caroline's doing a poor job. Maybe Caroline's doing a poor job. I don't know.
Loyalty in the Trump world is a one-way fucking street. Can you imagine sitting there? Because she's in the office. He points right at her. Can you imagine sitting there every fucking day? You go into the press room and you lie on behalf of your boss and you defend him for some of the most despicable things that he says, that she attacks people who report on the news every fucking day. Every fucking day she does that. And then because the man-child is upset that he gets bad press, he blames her.
A person that gets 97% of bad stories, maybe Caroline's doing a poor job. Bad stories, maybe Caroline's doing a poor job. I don't know. She's my representative. You're doing a terrible job. Should we keep her? I think we'll keep her. But I get 93 to 97%. My representative. You're doing a.
What are you supposed to do with that? Loyalty is a one-way street. It's the same thing with you, MAGA. It's the same thing with you. You really think he gives a shit about you? Really? I know. She does it on her own free will. I get it. It's her job. It's a press secretary's job. But the lengths to which she goes to defend him? All right, I got one more little bit of sound that I'll play for you guys because I think it's funny. We can always end the show with joy. Mods, let me know who we're rating, if you don't mind, please. See if I can find this. I think it's a good laughing moment. Jimmy Kimmel's been doing a lot of these series lately. Oh, I found this little clip. This is great. Places you can go to avoid MAGA. college graduation, escape room, a bookstore, anywhere outside of their hometown, a farmer's market, an art museum, a yoga studio, a recycling center, dental office, or therapy. Yep. I think that's a safe bet. Let me see if I can find this. Here you go. Jimmy Fallon. And we'll wrap after this.
Ordering daily attacks on Iran's military infrastructure, or as he calls it,
Infrastructure, sure.
Trump claims the U.S. has greatly reduced Iran's defenses. If you look at the statistics, or as he calls them,
statistics.
The gas prices have already gone way up, but Trump swears they'll come down significantly, or as he puts it,
To come down significantly.
and the whole thing is also affecting Iran's neighbors, like the United Arab Emirates, or as he calls it,
The United Arab Emirates is.
It's all enough to give you a headache and make you reach for the acetaminophen, or as he calls it.
I said, well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen.
Even some Republicans are against the war, but so far they've chosen to remain anonymous, or as Trump calls them,
Anonymous, really anonymous.
But Trump says he wants a victory that's undisputed, or as he calls it,
Undisputed. He's just.
in the end, Trump said that he'll do what he has to do for the United States, or as he calls it,
The United States.
I got him.
There you go. Stable genius. Thank you for joining us today, friends. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday. Please go raid SoCal Smitty. You guys all know Smitty. He's been on the show sometimes. He's live right now. Please head on over there. Tell him we love him and we're glad that he does what he does. Again, as a reminder, if you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please consider doing so. Factsstillmatter YouTube. You can find that. You can find the link in my link tree. Also on Twitch, please consider subscribing there. And a last plug, if you want to support for the Do Something Tour, we really appreciate that. We're marching towards our 25K goal, and we need your help. We're a little bit behind in our fundraising. If you can help us out, I'd really appreciate that. At Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Smartest